Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good 2 a.m., good whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, especially for our brand new person who's our biggest fan in Poland. Thank you very much to that person. I would say hello to you in Polish, but I didn't do any research whatsoever on how to say hello in Polish. But yes, welcome aboard the non-stop adventure that is Dan and Frankie Go to Hollywood. My name is Dan.
And I'm Frankie.
Indeed you are. And yes, we're here once again, as we do every 2 weeks, talk about movies and even more movies, because that's pretty much all we talk about. Not just on the podcast, but in real life as well. So yeah, how are ya?
I'm all right. Same old thing. How are you? Are you less sleep deprived than last time?
No. No, I'm not.
Well, you seem to be dealing with it more now.
I
It's
am...
become your state of being.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah. For those who have just joined us, I have 2 newborn kids upstairs. I accidentally had twins because I tend to overdo things. And yeah, as much as they say that raising kids is hard work, it's even harder when you got 2 of the little lovely, adorable cherubs. So yeah, it's been interesting, but yeah, as always, it has severely limited my my movie watching time, and I think it's starting to make me it's causing me to make questionable life decisions, Frankie.
Yeah.
No, I did something today that I'm kind of ashamed of. Yeah, this is news to you.
Yeah.
And look, if you need to, just by all means, tell me to go away. You can do the rest of the podcast. Like, you may never want to see me again. I understand, but look, oh God, I can't even say it.
What?
I bought a pair of Crocs.
No.
I did.
Why?
Okay, hear me out. Now, as you know, of all people, I was like, high up in the anti-Croc brigade. Like I was a registered member of that club.
I am the president.
You are the president. Yeah. If you're the president, I was maybe not the vice president, but like maybe sort of chief of staff or something. I don't know. Yeah, look, I've always hated these things. So Kylie, my beloved fiance, she lives in the things. She has several pairs, like a whole family are Crocs people, like so many people.
I'm going to have to watch out when I come to your house for poker.
Yeah.
Like, hide them from me. I don't want.
There's a dress code now. You have to be wearing Crocs. No.
Okay, I'm never coming to poker again.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, God. Anyway, she's been trying to convert me, and I've been putting up a serious fight. Like, I have been resisting so well up until now, because there was one that her feet are like half the size of mine, but I kind of squeezed one of my feet into one of her Crocs just to sort of feel what it was like, and it was actually really nice. Like, it was, like squeezing your foot into kind of like this rubbery cuddle, like this soft rubbery cuddle on your feet, and I was like, oh, this actually feels kind of nice. Shouldn't have done that. So then she handed me a Croc from one of her family members who, it would actually fit me. And I tried it on just today, actually. And honestly, I still stand by the fact that these things are hideously ugly, but it was really comfortable. And so, look, I committed and I bought myself a black pair.
I think you've been brainwashed.
I think I have too.
I think you've like moving into a house with Kylie's family.
The Croc cult.
Like they've pulled you into their cult.
Oh yeah, no. But hey, at least, but then again, brainwashed people are like, no, I wasn't brainwashed. No, you're absolutely right. I totally was, because every time I look around, I see these things everywhere, and it's like this subliminal messaging into my brain, like. I've got to actually find out if any of them actually work for the Crocs company, because I think this might have been a ploy. But look, I did, when I was actually picking out a pair just above the plain black ones, they actually had these silver glitter ones. And I am not joking. I would have bought those ones in a heartbeat. They were amazing.
Why didn't you?
because they didn't have my size. They made them for like women and kids for some strange reason, and not 6'1" males who, it's very racist. But yeah, no, I'm the sort of person who would have worn the sparkly glitter silver Crocs out in public with no shame. So yeah, but no, anyway. So look, I've got a pair of black Crocs now, and I have been spending the entire afternoon, just sort of sitting there looking at them and saying to Kylie, like, you realize I bought Crocs, right? Like, it's still, I don't know. It feels.
How much do they cost?
Why did you ask me that?
Because I'm like, are you paying some insane price to have these terrible things?
They're not terrible. They're really comfortable. What would you consider an insane price that I should be embarrassed about?
Well, I mean,
anything over $1.
Yeah. My friends used to joke about getting Crocs and wrapping them up as a fake birthday present to me just to see my reaction, and I'm glad that they never actually did that.
Oh.
If you paid more than like $20, they're like those. Well, actually, I was going to say they're like these shoes that they used to be called Scuffs where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And they were just like this cheapo thing. But now Adidas, because 90s is back in fashion, so now Adidas makes them and sells them for like $70 or something.
Oh,
because
wow.
Adidas.
Yeah,
but they're, but are they more than $50?
Well, technically I paid $20 for the first Afterpay installment, of which there are 4 installments.
$80?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were getting up to leave. Okay.
I should. Oh my god. This is the day for it. Look, I know what's coming later in this episode. You're just trying to hurt me today.
Oh man, in my defense, I was even saying to Kylie, look, when we get to the counter, if anyone asks, I'm buying these as a present for somebody. Like, it still doesn't feel right to me, but look, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to judge things until I try them. No, actually, that's not true. I have been judging them, and I still judge them on their looks. But no, they are up there with the most comfortable foot thingies I've ever had on my foot thingies, and so yeah,
okay, let's move on.
All right, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So there you go. So
Harley Quinn,
yes,
new announcement.
Yes, the season 5 is it has been announced. I can't actually remember what the date was now. Was it they just gave like one of those vague things like coming in fall or something, like a season, didn't they?
Yeah.
So there's not a specific date,
fall, because then that's not...
Whenever
because Kite Man then saw the thing. That's July for Kite Man?
Yes, that is coming out next month.
So maybe Harley Quinn will, be America's fall.
Yeah. Which
and spring for us.
I hate it when they do that because, off the top of my head, I don't know when spring is. Like, I can tell you when winter and summer are. I just can't remember which order spring and autumn go in. Like,
which order? I thought you meant which months, but you don't remember. Well, yeah.
I don't know.
You don't remember that autumn's
hang on.
Okay,
hang on. I didn't hear what you just said. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to try and work this out. So, autumn is when everything dies, and so that's after winter because everything's dead and regenerating for summer, is it? And then spring. Oh no, hang on. Spring would be after winter. Yeah, look, I don't know.
Wow,
you're
surprising me.
What order do they go in?
Yeah. Autumn is cooling down, going into winter. Right. Everything goes dormant, and then spring is. See, that's what happens when you live in Queensland that doesn't have seasons, so you don't notice stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I really miss spring, especially. Mm. And I remember in my front yard, because I grew up in New Zealand, and we had daffodil bulbs by the trees in our front yard, so you see the daffodils come up, and the weather's so crap there, so it's extra nice when things start warming up because 30 degrees then was like an amazing. It's like what we hear about from the UK here, where it gets to 30 and everyone freaks out because you don't have aircon because you don't need it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you have a heat wave, which is 30 is a heat wave, yeah. And now I live here where 30 is, well, kind of what you hope for in summer because it's usually higher.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, in my defense, where I live, yeah, it is pretty much
But
summer,
still,
365 days a year.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I'm keeping you on your toes tonight. This is good. Like, I really sometimes wish there was a visual element to this podcast because the look on your face tonight for all these things has just been absolutely priceless. So,
It's a wild night
it
tonight.
is a wild night indeed. All right, well, like, what are we now that we've let the jester out of the bag? Are we going to do our Harley Quinn thing now? Are we?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So Frankie said to me for a bit of a discussion question for tonight's episode. What would we choose if we were going to make a live action, be it a movie or a show or whatever, based on the Harley Quinn animated series? To anyone who has not seen the show, this is probably going to go over your heads, but we don't care because you should be watching it because it's one of the best damn shows on TV.
I mean, a bunch of the characters would be known. You might not know their personality from the show, which I tried to base or at least partially base my choices on. Because some of these characters, I don't even know what their normal character is like because I only know them from this show.
Yeah, of course.
So that to me, how they are in this show is just how they are. So which in some cases might be a bad thing, and in some cases they might be better. I mean, I love Dr. Psycho. I don't know anything about the actual character. I only know him from this show, and I love him in this show. So I might be disappointed if I go read
a more
what
serious
he's actually like.
Version of him.
I will read because I'm curious, but I can't imagine that I would like him as much as in this show.
So I think
although he hasn't been in it much lately.
No, that is true. What we should maybe do is when we announce which character we're going to cast, we should just, if there's any significant change to the comics, we'll just give a quick, like a one line,
you might have to help me with that.
No, that's okay, that's fine. All right, who are we starting with?
I've kind of done mine sort of grouped but also in order of importance. So I've got Gordon as the least
important. All right.
Yeah.
And who have you cast for your Commissioner Gordon?
Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay, that's yeah, shit, that's a really good choice. So Commissioner Gordon in this show is like pretty much, a comedic punching bag. He's just sort of like, his marriage has failed. He's an alcoholic. He's down on his whole life, like practically suicidal. So yeah, I could see him
I
doing
was
that.
thinking about this on the way home, and I was listening to a podcast, and they were just chatting about Poor Things and how good he was in that.
Right.
And I thought, yeah, he was, and he was really funny. And then I thought, he could be a good choice for Gordon.
True. But do you want to know who I've picked for my Commissioner Gordon?
Who?
Nicolas Cage. Can you imagine that version of Gordon who is just, a complete, utter loss, but with Nicolas Cage's strange weirdness to it? Like, I really want this to happen. So yeah, a bit of a oddball choice, but here we are. So yeah.
Actually, I haven't.
What haven't you done?
Oh crap! I had Bruce on my list next, and I had a Bruce, and then I wanted a different Bruce, so I thought, well, my current Bruce can be Nightwing, but now I'm looking at who I had as Nightwing, and I don't really want to bump them, but I don't want to bump my. Oh
wow, we've got a situation on our hands here.
I have to pick who to fire.
Okay, do you want me to announce my casting? So who are we doing? Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Batman in the Harley Quinn animated show is again done for comedy, which ordinarily you'd kind of think, how could they turn that character into a comedic sort of a version? But it really works in the confines of the show. And so I wanted to pick someone who was not only, physically intimidating and everything, but who also has just that kind of comedic awkwardness. And I've got John Cena for mine. Because I know he's kind of a go-to for me when I'm like doing casting things, but yeah, I just love that guy's comedic timing and everything, and I think playing that version of Batman, I think he would be perfect for it.
I went in a different direction. So
yeah?
my Batman, or Bruce, I was thinking of more.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really remember exactly how he was in the show, so I kind of just cast someone I wanted to who would look good in a suit and would suit my Catwoman choice.
Okay.
So, and my other Bruce, I have bumped him to be Nightwing and just got rid of my original Nightwing because it wasn't a set.
Fair enough.
So my Bruce is Austin Butler.
I will tell you why that's funny in a short amount of time. Wow, okay. I thought he might have been a little young for the role, but I don't really know how old Austin Butler is. So...
My Catwoman is not very old. Austin Butler is, what, 30?
Yeah.
Or maybe almost 30?
I don't know. I sort of...
He's 32.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's I thought he was younger for some reason. Okay. No, that's a good choice. Who are we going with next?
Or should we go with Catwoman to kind of...
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
To go. So my Catwoman, who I think would be awesome with Austin Butler, and would also be an awesome Catwoman, is Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Let me just think about that for a moment. Yeah, okay, back to it. Why am I not surprised that you picked her in a role? My Catwoman, I have gone with the ethnical decisions that they have made with Catwoman over the years. Well, okay, initially I was thinking of Zendaya for the role, but honestly, after that fucking tennis movie, she is banned from anything that I'm going to cast in future because, no, I'm sorry, she is blacklisted on my end of things. So I've gone with Zoe Saldana. Because, when you think about her performance as Gamora and stuff, I mean, she's got like the action movie stuff down pat and everything, and just that kind of seriousness but with a bit of vulnerability. Like, yeah, no, I think she'd be a really good choice for Catwoman in my casting. So yeah, that's who I've got. Who's next?
Who's Batgirl?
For Batgirl, I've picked Jenna Ortega. Someone who, despite the fact that I am pretty sure now it's like Hollywood law that every production has to have her in it in some way or another, it seems, but I'm not like a huge fan of hers, but she sort of has that kind of teenage quality, and that energy that would be needed for Batgirl, I think.
Yeah, I'm so used to seeing her in the sort of horror and darker stuff. I'm trying to think of her as Batgirl in the Harley Quinn Batgirl. I don't know how different that is to normal Batgirl.
Oh, there's so many different versions of Batgirl, so yeah.
My Batgirl, I couldn't really think of anyone good, so I thought, who kind of looks like her in the show? And so I went with Sadie Sink.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Sorry, I am paying attention. I'm just trying to stop my cat from jumping up on the desk at the moment because she's had this habit lately of sleeping on my keyboard, and I don't want her pressing any buttons right now. Cool. Okay, yeah, no, Sadie Sink. That's yeah, and another one that I'm probably not surprised that you would pick. So yeah.
Yeah, well, interesting because she was a last minute choice when I was stuck going. She was my last casting.
Right. All right, so that's Batgirl out of the way. Who else we got?
So Nightwing, finish off the Bat family.
All right, who's your Nightwing choice?
Well, I will tell you, I originally did pick Jake Gyllenhaal just
Of
because,
course.
a hot guy for Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
But then my other choice, who also has been fan cast, I found, who I was considering for Bruce, Riz Ahmed.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. Wow, I'm really just trying to imagine him in a role like that. But
I know, I was thinking, I was like,
yeah,
would he be a Nightwing? And so that's why I did some Googling and some fan casting and a bit of art. And he, when you look him up, he's in Star Wars.
he was in
something.
Rogue One, yeah.
And yeah, he looked really cool in that. And kind of, when you look at those photos, you're like, yeah, he could do Nightwing.
All right, I'm just having a look. Yeah, no, I can see that, and he probably. Because the Nightwing in this show is like deeply serious, and so yeah, no, he would be good. For my casting of Nightwing, I've got Austin Butler. So I don't know how.
I did think about him for that, but I feel I've kind of the vibe I get from him in interviews. I just kind of don't know that he's a Nightwing. I feel like he's more a serious.
Okay.
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't even know about Batman, but Bruce Wayne. I don't know if it's just because I know he likes sort of old school, like dressing in suits and that kind of thing.
So clearly, our two productions can't.
Hot guy and Nightwing, you
got
that sorted.
our two productions are not going to be able to coexist because we can't have
maybe I should
Austin
bring Jake
Butler
Gyllenhaal back.
playing both Nightwing and Batman. Like that's just not going to work. So
I guess it depends. Depends what he chooses.
yeah, absolutely. Which of course he's going to go. Why would you turn down the role of Batman to play Nightwing? My God. Who we got next?
Well, I've kept sort of Harley and Ivy's group together. So this is where we stop kind of going importance and just go. Kite Man.
Oh, I think I've got the perfect.
Okay, you go first.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Because Kite Man in this is, of course, like an absolute douchebag, sort of a guy with a heart of gold. And I mean, like, he's such a great character that he's got his own spin-off show coming out very soon. But I just thought Ryan Reynolds in that kind of role would just be so perfect. So let's see if you can top that one.
Well, I had two choices and I am struggling because one I think might be a bit more suited to the character and one I think might be a bit more suited to the cast.
Sorry, just oh,
just
wow, she's
watching Dan carefully take his cat, Harley, off the...
Yep, and she actually somehow managed to start Spotify when she was on here. No!
Oh my God, she
Harley.
really wants to be on the desk.
Oh, man. Let me just see if I am still recording. Yes, I am still recording. This is a good thing. Yeah, every time she jumps up, she manages to start Spotify, and it's a little annoying. But anyway...
So to match your Ryan Reynolds, I shall go with my choice, who is also a Ryan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that would be great.
I know it's kind of a bit typecasting after Ken to give him Kite Man, but I have reasons that I will explain more a bit later on.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But yeah, so my discard was Glenn Powell.
Of course, yeah.
He can do that kind of character with his eyes shut. So yeah.
All right. I'm gonna guess we've got Bane next, is it?
Yeah.
Because okay. I'm very keen to hear who you've got for your Bane choice after we discussed it a bit earlier today.
I was saying to Dan, I don't like big muscly guys. I don't really pay attention. So I was kind of like, oh, who is there that with the muscles that can be Bane? And also, Bane is such a weirdo in the show.
Oh, yeah, we should point out that the Bane in this show, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is the biggest fucking idiot on the planet. He sort of imitates the voice of Bane from the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight films. So he talks like this all the time, like an absolute dickhead. And he is just an absolute idiot, which is, the furthest thing from the comic book version, who was like this brilliant strategist, like, and everything. So yeah, he's, oh my god, he's a fan favorite. So yeah. Who have
This
you
is
got?
one I didn't really think about the character. I just thought about who's an actor who I would like to cast, who's pretty cool. And so I picked Zac Efron.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
I wouldn't want to force someone to completely change their lifestyle to work out. And, he does that anyway. So,
Well, he's pretty
yeah.
ripped. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to use visual effects, I think, to make him
Oh,
huge.
yeah.
Because yeah. But no, that's a really good choice. Because yeah, he's so good at comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that is actually a really solid choice.
That was also from the podcast I was
Oh, okay,
listening to. They were
right.
talking about the Iron Claw, and I was like, oh, Zac Efron, he'd be
Ah,
perfect.
nice. So yeah, look, I was looking up, muscle actors in Hollywood working today and trying to think of someone who could possibly do dumb funny, and I've come up with Jason Momoa. Like,
Oh, yeah. Because I just straight away go Fast X.
yeah, exactly. You wouldn't need too much in the way of visual effects because he's already massive.
Yeah.
But I really think that he would lap up doing a role like that. Just something that is really dumb. So yeah, that was who I had for my one on that one. So, who we got next?
Clayface.
Clayface. All right. Well, yeah, obviously this is going to have to be a CG character with but the actor can do the motion capture and stuff, I guess. I've picked Justin Long for mine because I was trying to think of somebody
Yeah, good
because
choice.
Clayface in the show is a thespian first and foremost. I mean, he is an actor, and in that respect, he always announces his arrival and all these sort of things. He's got this very flamboyant sort of personality, and I was trying to think of someone, and I was like, oh my god, Justin Long can do that sort of campy, flamboyant sort of a thing when the script calls for it. So yeah, I've chosen him.
I chose Matt Berry.
Oh, you. Nah, you win. That's it. Oh my god. How did I not? The voice of all voices, especially that kind of thing. Oh man, I have failed. I don't even.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
even
was very
reading.
pleased when he popped into my head, and I was like, yep, that's it.
Out of every single person we have listed so far, that is the most perfect casting choice that you could. And anyone who doesn't know who Matt Berry is, go to YouTube as soon as you finish listening to us ramble and type in Matt Berry and listen to that voice, because yeah, it's just it is velvet. It is silk, if you will. It's he has honey dripping from his larynx. Yeah, okay, I failed that one. That one sucked. Who we got next?
King Shark.
All right, who have you got for your King
Well,
Shark?
this
Who?
is my kind of wild card.
Okay, because in the cartoon, he's kind of a bit of a funky soul brother kind of a character, I guess. Like
Oh, yeah, maybe my choice isn't so. I don't know.
No, it's all right.
It just popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely probably not who you would think, but
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get him out of my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
So, and it's probably what led me to Matt Berry actually. But
Okay.
my King Shark is Richard Iwadi.
Oh wow. Oh, that's another. That okay? Yeah, no, that is really different to.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm thinking of Moss from the IT crowd. Like when
I
you.
know, but that's
Yeah.
kind of his like comedy persona. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like it. It kind of doesn't work, but also it kind of does.
Well, when you
So
think about it, like King Shark in the cartoon is a tech nerd. Remember, he's like the computer expert and stuff. And we've got like James Gunn's The Suicide Squad version, which was just this big dumb thing that says random words here and there. The show version is once again different. He's funky. So this is no, I like it. I really like it. I just kind of stuck with someone who could pretty much play the version on the show. I've gone with Craig Robinson. You know who that is? He has been in so many thing, and I know you're looking him up right now. And as soon as you
yeah,
see him, you'll be like, "Oh, that guy."
yeah, I know him.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of thought he'd be a pretty cool King Shark, but I'm still stuck on your Matt Berry Clayface thing. That was just genius.
I just realized because you went ahead in a different order than I have written down that I was kind of doing this group to build up to Harley and Ivy, but we haven't done Joker yet.
No, we haven't.
So should we do him before we continue?
Yes, yes, indeed. And
with the top three.
I reckon we might have picked the same person. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Who's going first?
I'll go first.
Okay, who you got?
Dan Stevens.
Oh no, we definitely didn't have to.
Dan
Stevens, really?
Because he can do like sinister, kind of roles, but also be really funny and really cute. He's kind of really versatile. So
true.
Think he can be a demented Joker, but also a town mayor.
Yeah. Okay, no, absolutely. That's an interesting choice. I was kind of thinking of Adrian Brody because he just has that look about him, but I don't really know about his, actual performance. So I've gone with Bill Skarsgård for my Joker. Because, I mean, that dude can do all sorts of, mannerisms and crazy.
He also can do from Pennywise to the, cute guy you find at your Airbnb.
Exactly. So, I was quite happy with my choice there. So, all right. We're coming down to it. Who you got for Dr. Psycho?
Well, okay. For ages, I had Richard Coyle.
Oh, wow.
Because
okay.
if he lets his hair go, he's got the hair, he's got the eyebrows. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think if I've seen a thing where he's really kind of yelling and going off and being really angry and everything. But when I looked up Matt Berry, I saw a photo of him doing a thing with Peter Capaldi. Might have to de-age a little, but Peter Capaldi, especially if you've seen the thick of it, I think he would be the perfect.
Oh, okay.
Because he can go off.
That's weird. I thought you were going with Richard Coyle, and then you just did a 180, and now Peter Capaldi is.
Well, he was my original choice until I saw Peter Capaldi, and now I just can't not.
And Capaldi's already got the DC link because he was the Thinker in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, so he's already got a Harley Quinn connection. So that's pretty cool. For my Dr. Psycho, I've gone with someone who we're probably not going to really need to shrink that much. Danny DeVito. Because, honestly, he would look so freaking good. I almost want to do a Photoshop version of Danny DeVito as Dr. Psycho because I reckon he would look amazing in that role. Plus, he's got that aggressiveness that, when called for. So, that sort of personality. So, I went with Danny DeVito. So, I know I'm prejudiced
we're at the final two
for short people, but anyway. We are. All right. So, I guess we're going to do Poison Ivy first.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, this is probably obvious to me and you who've talked about this a lot. There's kind of one person that we've always thought of, but since that time, there's kind of another person who also would be really good. Right. And I was like, which one do I pick? And I partially picked based on who I thought would go best with my Harley choice. But also, the connection with Kite Man being Ryan Gosling. My Ivy is Harley is Emma Stone.
Oh, my God.
Even though it's kind of sad because she's leaving him again.
We did say that the two of them have to be cast in everything from now on, so you've actually done it.
I kind of feel bad for not giving them the happy ending because it just keeps happening. Well, not keeps happening. That's crazy stupid. Well.
You black-hearted ice queen.
Yeah, so my sincere apologies to Jane Levy, but she is forever immortalized in art that I commissioned. With Ivy with Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow. So
yes, that is true. Well, you don't have to feel too bad because Jane Levy's got the role in my production, so yeah.
We don't have to fight over her at work.
We don't, because, I even went as far once as to do that Photoshop image of Jane Levy as Poison Ivy with Margot's Harley Quinn, and oh my god, yeah, I just Jane
Were
Levy.
you worried when I started talking?
No,
Like,
because
you didn't think I was going to pick her?
oh, look, if you did, it would have just been kind of funny. So yeah, but
It would have been like Austin Butler. We would have been fighting.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this is what
exactly.
Ivy does in my show. This is what
Yeah, this
Ivy
is how
does.
much money she's getting for mine. Haha. All right. Well, it comes down to the title character, the lead in our production, Harley Quinn herself. So we did have a rule when going into this as well that it couldn't be anyone who has played that character in any way, shape, or form, be it live action, voiceover, video game, whatever. So we've had to go with completely new people. Shall I reveal who my choice is for Harley Quinn?
Okay.
All right. After much deliberation, and I have looked online, and there has been already so many people talking about this person being Harley Quinn to the point where there is a lot of fan art and stuff out there.
Did you pick the same person?
I don't know, but I've kept it homegrown. You know.
Okay, it's not my Harley then.
Oh, okay. No, I've kept it within Australia, and I've gone with Samara Weaving.
Ah, so you can't have Margot, so you pick Samara.
Well, yeah. I mean,
You obviously have a Harley type.
do not shut up. No, look, it's funny. I was actually just looking up blonde actresses. Like I googled, blonde actresses. Which is sometimes something that guys get in trouble
People
for.
can dye their hair.
Well, yeah, whatever. Sometimes when you're laying in bed next to your fiance and you're googling hot blonde actresses, sometimes you get in trouble. Not this time because it was for homework. It's for research. So, all you guys out there, if you ever get in trouble, looking at women on Instagram or anything like that, just say it's for a podcast. You're doing research. But anyway, Samara came up and I was like, oh man, she has so much energy. She's, age appropriate. She looks right for the role. Like I said, I looked it up and yeah, so many people have already done pictures of her as Harley Quinn. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, she looks amazing. So, and she would complement Jane Levy really well, I think. So, that's who I've got for my Harley Quinn. How about you?
Well, I actually found it a bit difficult at first trying to think who would be a good Harley. But then I thought of someone who does chaos so well. So my Harley is Aubrey Plaza.
Oh, hence
who also has a lot of fan art.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I'll have to research that tonight when I'm laying in bed.
And she has been blonde. So
yeah, okay.
I could see what she looked like as a blonde because I don't think I've seen her act in anything when she's blonde.
That would be really, really cool. I would pay to see that. That would be a good choice. So there you go. Wow. I don't know which one I want to see. Actually, no, I want to see yours just solely because of Matt Berry as Clayface. Honestly, I'm cancelling my production. It's out the window now. So,
and now that I've thought of Peter Capaldi as Dr. Psycho, I'm like, I really need to go watch In the Thick of It again because there is something about him just yelling that, I don't know, it's kind of hot. So Malcolm is kind of hot. So I need to watch In the Thick of It again. Actually, I never watched the 4th season, but I might have to watch the whole thing again because it's been years.
Yeah. Good idea. All right. Well, that was fun. Shall we... What do you want to do? Do you want to get stuck into what we've been watching over the last couple of weeks, or did you want to do this Twitter thing that you've been looking at?
Oh, well, it's kind of related because it kicked off some of the stuff that I watched.
All right.
So, I mean, we can start with that if you like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so a thing went round on Twitter for 12 underseen films that you think deserve a recommendation. And obviously there's lots of movies that everyone has lots of movies they like that not many people have seen.
True.
So of course I love things like this, so I went to Letterboxd, started thinking, made my list. So
checked it twice.
Yeah.
Found out.
It's not really in order except the first four, I would say, are some of my favorite movies that are not overly seen. So the first one is Amy from 1997. So that's a Australian film with Ben Mendelsohn. I think that's actually how I first fell in love with Ben Mendelsohn, was in that movie, and not many people have seen that. I mean, it's an small Australian film, so it's not really around.
Yeah, very good.
Shotgun Stories, which is a Jeff Nichols film. Very good. His second best film, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Dinner in America.
Yes.
That is fun, and yes, recommend that to everyone. The Double from 2013, directed by our... What did I do?
I don't
King
know.
Shark himself, Richard Ayoade. With Jesse Eisenberg. Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains. Mommy, which is Xavier Dolan, who I can't remember. Is he French?
I don't know. I've never met the guy.
I'm just gonna...
Maybe he's Polish.
Yes, it's a French film.
Hello to everyone in Poland. Sorry.
The Snake Pit from 1948. Infection, very good Japanese horror film from 2004. North Fork, the movie I've talked about recently, because that introduced me to Ben Foster, and is a movie that I've never met anyone who's ever seen it or even heard of it.
Including myself, even though you lent it to me about 2 years ago. And I still haven't watched it yet. I'll get there.
Good thing I didn't decide to rewatch it, or I would have gone to my DVD shelf and not been able to find it.
Oh.
Beast from 2017, which is the one that has Johnny Flynn and Jessie Buckley, which is very good. The Wildcat, Ernst Lubitsch silent film from 1921, and Kionakatsi that I talked about a few episodes ago, which is a film that's just pretty much images with music and is outstanding.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's my 12.
That's your 12. All right. Well, I also have a 12 as opposed to a 20, which I forgot to do until about 5 minutes before we started this podcast. And I was like, quick, let's go to my letterboxd list of my 100 favorite films of all time. And surely I can pick 12 from there. And by the time I got to 19, and Frankie was like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I'm trying to get my 20. And she's like, no, it's 12, you absolute dickhead. Okay, you didn't say that in those words, but no. I know you were thinking it. So, yes, I now have my list of 12. So, I don't know the years of each one, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. So, the first one is Fighting with My Family, which was a wrestling film, if you will, which I had zero interest in ever seeing, but then I went and saw a press screening of it, and it was my number one movie of that year. And that came out in January, I think. Nothing for the rest of the year beat it. It is so goddamn extraordinary. The next one is one that Frankie's going to be like, oh God, not this one again. A film called In Your Eyes, which was written by Joss Whedon. And yeah, I just think it's like a quirky little sort of a romance story with almost like a science fiction kind of a spin to it, I guess. My third one is the Metallica film, Through the Never, which is this bizarre film that is a blend of concert footage, which is amazing, like so well shot, with this weird, trippy, nightmarish story about a roadie who's got to go and fetch a bag that you don't know what's in it. It's like the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. You never find out what is in it. But and as he's going through the city, like, all these weird, nightmarish things happen and stuff. And the movie is... It is... Oh my God, I think I saw it like 3 times in the 1 week the first time I saw it. And I can't recommend it enough in 3D. The film was actually shot with 3D cameras, and so the 3D is just mind-blowing. Number 4, I've got The Disappearance of Alice Creed, which was this little minimalist film. It has 3 actors in it, mostly set in one room, where these 2 guys have kidnapped a woman, and she kind of sort of manipulates them against each other and things. Like there's this big sort of a lot of twists and things where you find out the characters' connections with each other and all this sort of stuff. But that movie is incredible. I've got Crank on the list, which was not just a really fun film with Jason Statham where he plays this guy who's been poisoned and his heart is going to stop unless he keeps recharging it with electricity or energy drinks or like anything to get his adrenaline up. So he's got to stay alive to find the antidote kind of a thing. But the way the film was made, like these filmmakers did so many revolutionary things. They would like put on rollerblades and skate along while filming action, or they built a radio controlled car with a camera rig on it to drive under cars and things. And I actually built one myself once that I shot a music video with. Was so inspired by that. Next one on my list is Office Space, which is a film by Mike Judge that surprisingly so few people have seen in my experience. I know there's going to be a lot of people like, come on, Office Space, it's a classic, but believe me, there are so many people who have not seen it. Next one I've got is a film called Nothing to Lose, which was written and directed by Steve Odekirk of Kung Pao fame, starring Tim Robbins, Martin Short. It's sort of it is just a really, really cool film. I love that movie. The next one on my list is Judgment Night from 1994, about a group of dudes who going into town in an RV that they've rented for the night to see a boxing match, but they wind up in the seedy streets of town, witness a gang murder by this group led by Dennis Leary, the comedian, he just stole every scene in that film. And so it's sort of a cat and mouse chase, like the gangsters after these dudes. It is so full of tension. Next one I've got is Brain Damage, which I made you watch at one point, which is a cheesy 80s horror film. Then I've got Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is just one of the most deeply disturbing experiences of all time. Then got Sid and Nancy on my list because that is an absolute must-see. And then to round it off, I've got the movie House of Wax. No, not the crappy 2000s one with Paris Hilton in it or whatever. I'm talking about the original, I think it was 1955, starring Vincent Price. That film is so goddamn good. And I will forever be jealous of my mum because she saw it in a cinema when she would have been 9 if it came out in 55, in 3D, like back with the old school 3D. So, that movie is absolutely amazing. So, yeah, those are my 12.
Oh, I might have said a little more if I hadn't listened to your instructions about flying through them and not talking about them much.
Yeah, but you did that, so because I was just going to go Fighting with My Family, In Your Eyes, Through the Never, but then you were giving a little bit of each one, and I thought,
well, not really, very basic.
You
things.
Listened back
I
to
didn't
this
talk about
podcast.
plots.
You gave entire synopses.
I wasn't talking about people filming stuff on rollerblades and things. So
yeah, that's because nobody in silent era.
I mentioned some directors and years to tell them apart. Otherwise, I would have definitely told the plot of Amy.
I'm just not going to say. Yeah, but you're like, it's a film from 1997 and it's an Australian film. And Ben
well,
Mendelsohn
I had to say, because if people just look
Mendelsohn.
up Amy, there's probably a million films called Amy. I had to say it was from 97 so they'd know which one it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's not...
It's all right. I have a lot more movies to talk about than you.
Oh, shut up. Yes, you do. So let's get stuck into it because I've watched like half a film in the last 2 weeks. So, look. Okay,
well, I'll start with the films that this 12 Underseen thing led me to. Because there's a guy I know on Twitter. I don't know, Twitter friend, Twitter acquaintance. We interact a little bit. So his name's Tim. He did his 12 films.
Right.
And I had only seen 2 of them, and I have 1 on my shelf. So I commented about how the rest look interesting and I was going to check them out. And he replied, he had the Woman Who Ran by, oh God, I've forgotten the director's name. By God?
God made a movie? Wow. Must be good.
Hong Sang-soo, I think.
Oh, okay.
Let me just confirm.
Realistically, you could say a bunch of syllables right now and it would probably sound right from what you've just said. I don't know. Hong Kong
Yeah.
Phooey, did you say?
Hong Sang-soo, I was right.
Bless you.
I thought so, but I
Right.
wanted to confirm.
Fair enough.
And so he said that the movie, his Underseen movie, wasn't one included, but SBS has a whole bunch of his films on there that are leaving at the end of the month.
Right.
So I thought, oh, I better start watching. And so I picked one called Grass at first because it's only like 69 minutes or something super short. And that's about the time I had that night. So, but it's so weird because it's the kind of director well, I'm basing this on two movies because I watched a second one. And what I've been told, but the movies are like gentle movies. They're about conversations and things. And so this movie Grass is just a woman in a cafe who's just typing on her laptop, and it's just conversations of people in the cafe.
Oh,
and there's a
okay.
bit more to it than that, but it's mostly that.
Right.
But it just felt really different. Like it had a lot of style, and then there was music. And they kept saying, you know, the cafe owner likes to play classical music, and that was music playing. And I don't know if it was the setting on my TV or the movie itself, but the music just seemed like a little, just slightly too loud. Not too loud, but just slightly louder than you would expect for background music. But I don't know if that was just the setting on my TV. But so when I finished that, which I really liked, I watched Right Now, Wrong Then.
Okay.
And that's about a film director who is in this town. He comes to town. It doesn't say where it's set. I can't remember. He comes to town because his film is being shown somewhere, and he's going to talk. And he's there a day early, and he starts talking to this artist woman, and they hang out for the day into the night.
Right.
And this one felt more sort of like, I don't want to say normal, but maybe like grounded in the narrative, but it still is talking. But I realized I watched like half of it, maybe. This was like a 2-hour film, and I watched about half, and then I had to stop, and it was a couple of days later till I could finish it. But I was thinking about it in between, and I realized that part of why it feels different is because besides just being a lot of conversations, the camera pans like two people. There's one scene where two people are talking in the cafe and they're having this big long conversation. The camera's just sitting on them, and then it might like focus on one, and then it will just pan across to the other one, and then maybe come back out. It's not like cutting to each person or doing close. It zooms and pans. It doesn't like cut to between things.
So was it two Mexican dudes sitting there talking? Because you said it focuses on Juan and then it focuses on the other Juan. So hey, I am qualified to make dad jokes now, okay? I am licensed.
Okay.
No, but that does
but
sound
it
very
almost
interesting.
feels like you're sitting in the cafe
Yeah, right.
watching them have the conversation.
Yep.
But Right Now, Wrong Then I didn't like as much because I just didn't like the guy. It was a weird movie. It's kind of like you follow them, and then it's pretty funny because when I went back to watch the second half, I had like this tiniest little bit, and then the name comes up again, and then the second half of the film is the same as the first film, but like over again, and things are slightly different and go in a different direction.
Right.
And the guy wasn't as terrible in this second version, but I still didn't like him. So I still... It was fine to watch, but I didn't like this one as much as Grass. But yeah, I think it kept saying the films had a week to expire. So I don't know if that just means till the 30th. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. There's about 8 of them or something on SBS. So I'll try to check out a few more. But yeah, something very different and nice, slow. Yeah, lots of talking. So if you're into movies of people having conversations and things rather than lots of action, then I recommend.
Cool. I'm gonna leave the mutual movie that we saw, even though that was the first one on my list. So I'll go to the second one on my list. I rewatched Bowling for Columbine, which for all the criticism you've given me about buying Crocs and all that sort of stuff, what you said about having no interest in seeing this film, young lady, honestly, I am ashamed of you
Well, that was
because.
maybe an exaggeration. I don't mean no interest, but
Okay.
it's just not interesting to me enough to put it on my list to watch.
Yeah. See, I'm really fascinated by US gun culture and school shootings, mass shootings, all that sort of stuff. Like it just really fascinates me how different that world is to ours and what makes it that way. And that's what this film does. It's not necessarily a documentary about Columbine. It actually, if anything, it just kind of touches on that here and there, but it is mostly an exploration about why America is completely fucked up and why everyone is living in so much fear that they feel like they need to arm themselves against something that may attack them or whatever, that kind of psychology. But not only that, is a super entertaining film. There's an interview with Marilyn Manson in it because, of course, after Columbine, Manson was, largely blamed for, inspiring the kids, even though they'd never actually listened to his music.
Yeah.
And so Michael Moore sits down with Marilyn Manson and, interviews him. And anytime I try to convince someone that Manson is a really intelligent person, I steer them in the direction of this interview because there's one thing that he says in particular at the end, which is just like, it's so powerful, But there's also there was an interview with Matt Stone from half of the South Park creating team, that sort of thing. But it's a really entertaining film. But it'll also make you utterly loathe Charlton Heston. So if there are any Charlton Heston fans out there who haven't seen it, I probably wouldn't recommend
I've
it.
seen a few of his movies, and so that kind of puts me off because I'm like, I hate it. Like, I don't want to hate him.
Oh, you're going to hate him after this film. My God.
Well, I'm not going to watch it,
He
so
is
it's fine.
such a prick of a man. And, I'm always one of these people who's like, oh, I won't say bad things until I meet a person. But, I mean, this is a documentary, it's not fabricated in any sort of way, and yeah, it's but anyway, no, I love that film, but I sort of realized, I was like, I've never actually owned it, and so I looked online, and the DVD is actually like a double disc version with 3 hours of bonus content, which is just insane, and I managed to find that on eBay for like $5 or something. So I now have that proudly in my collection because and it's not even, I know Michael Moore has done a lot of other documentaries after that, but I don't think I actually saw any of them because the subject matter didn't really interest me as much as this one did, so but no, it is, really, really fascinating. I love that film and I'm happy to own it now.
Well, the big release of the last fortnight was Hitman, new Richard Linklater film. He's one of my favorite directors, and that movie came out like 2 days after my Netflix subscription ended, so I had to get it back for another month. Not just for Hitman, obviously, but I thought I'll have another month to watch stuff rather than pay to rent Hitman if it's even out for rental. I might as well get a month's worth of stuff.
Absolutely.
So I really like Glenn Powell.
You do.
So I thought, put those two together, it's going to be a fun
How can
time.
it go wrong?
I didn't even know what the film was about. I assumed that he was a hitman, and
as you would,
the film was something to do with him as a hitman. And so when the film, I heard someone say this on a podcast, it's not just me, but when the film started, it shows him as like this kind of like nerdy professor, and he's, just got this plain car, plain house. He goes home and just feeds his cats and sits at the kitchen table alone eating. Like, is this his cover for like being a hitman, that he just looks like this really boring normal guy? No, he's just that guy. And because of his knowledge, he moonlights with the police department, helping them to do recordings and catch people out that are trying to hire hitmen.
Yeah.
And one day the guy who acts as the hitman in these operations has some like stuff happen against him, so he gets like suspended from his position for a
Right.
while. And right when like they're about to, entrap someone, and so Glenn Powell has to take over because he's been there recording all these things. He knows how they work, so he has to act as the hitman.
Right.
And then the movie goes from there. And so it's kind of a rom-com. I don't know, it's called an action movie, but it's not an action film, but I guess there's action in it because it's to do with hitman related stuff. But yeah, it's fun, but I just didn't love it.
Right.
And it made me sad. It takes quite a while to get going. It was kind of like The Fall Guy, in that I was kind of just sitting there at the start going, okay, can we like kick things up and get going? And so eventually he meets Madison, played by Adria Arjona, who I might have said her
So
name
the
wrong,
the Wish version of Isa Gonzalez. Because my God, I still can't believe that's not her. Honestly, I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, "Oh, Isa Gonzalez is in this. I'm interested." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, where's her name in the cast list?" And I looked up whoever the hell that person is. I was like, "Oh my God, wow, they look so alike." But yeah, anyway, that's my input. Please continue.
Yeah. And so he kind of talks her out of hiring the hitman because he doesn't want her to get arrested, and then things go from there, and there's relationship. She thinks he's a hitman, so he's enjoying his hitman persona, so he's going with it. And then the guy who was the hitman, the fake hitman, who steals the show, that's Austin Emilio, who I discovered afterwards, because I had to look up who he was, that his main thing has been in The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead.
Okay, right.
And so I am watching them now. I'm going to watch 6 seasons till he shows up in the 6th season, and then the spin-off show.
Yeah, because everything after season 3 is it's an effort.
Yeah. So we'll see how we go. So he kind of causes a bit of trouble. He's but really fun way.
Right.
And yeah, it I think a lot of it is their relationship. What's the guy's name?
I don't know. You're the one who's telling the story.
Gary and Madison. It's kind of about their relationship, and it's I don't know, a lot of people say that it's just amazing chemistry, but I didn't really feel it. But I don't know if it's just the relationship. It's very sexy, like sex. That's kind of it.
Like tennis. Oh my God.
I'm not that interested. So, and I don't mean that in a sex shouldn't be in movies way, because that's ridiculous, and I'm not one of those people. I'm just not interested because I don't care.
Yeah.
And so that kind of passed me by. But if you're into that, then you know, there's some fun stuff there. But yeah, and so in the last act, when everything comes together and the drama and the stuff going on, like it did pick up then, but I still gave it 3 stars. Which,
that's not bad.
Yeah. But then after that, I had to watch then Everybody Wants Some, because I haven't seen that since it came out. Glenn Powell's in that, and Austin Emilio's in that, and of course that's directed by Richard Linklater. And that still holds up and is super fun. And that, unlike Suburbia, this one is like Dazed and Confused, but also in a really fun way. It's set in the 80s, following a baseball team who it's like the weekend before school starts. Right. And so the main character is this guy who's just like, what is it, freshman joining. And so there's a couple of new guys on the team and then the older guys. And it's just following them over a weekend. And I recommend that. It's lots of fun. But yeah, Hitman's lots of fun. Lots of people like it. Yeah. Not everyone.
It's very popular.
But yeah, I recommend checking it out.
Well, one day when I get a chance to watch more movies in about, 8 years' time, I will probably check it out. And it's many sequels that will have come out by then. So
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I watched something that I've kind of been a little curious about it for a while now, for 10 years. But ever since Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes came out this year, it increased on my curiosity level, and that is The Maze Runner. Which was on Kylie's list of movies that she desperately wants me to watch because, oh god, that list is so long. But yeah, she wanted me to watch the Maze Runner movies because she really, really loves them. And I was always, I don't know, I've got this thing, young adult things that are based on novels or whatever, like, I don't know, I'm not against them in any sort of way. I just, for some reason, have this, like you with war movies or me with sport movies or whatever. I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of young adult fiction. I don't know. But after Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I was more interested in it, and so I checked it out, and I really enjoyed it. I was kind of, throughout most of the film, I was a little bit like, is anything really happening here? Because, it's this group of mostly boys who have been sort of, taken from their homes or whatever and put into this environment where they're surrounded by this absolutely gigantic maze that they've got to try and figure, and it's, full of deadly creatures and traps and things, and they've got to try and solve the puzzle of the maze or whatever, and that's, pretty much it. And I'm like, wow, it's not, riveting. But, it's got a pretty good cast in it and stuff, and the acting was really good. There was a lot of things that I liked about it, but it wasn't until the final act that, from what I've read, a lot of it was taken from the beginning of the second book. But that really made it interesting when you kind of find out what's really going on. It's one of those things that when you kind of know, you're like, oh, okay, this actually makes the rest of the film a bit more interesting. So yeah, look, I didn't mind it. I would watch it again down the track. It was the sort of thing that I'm definitely interested in seeing the second and third one now, because it is a story that ends on a cliffhanger and you're kind of like, oh my god, what happens next? So I'm definitely keen to see where everything goes with that one. So I'm actually glad that I finally got to watch that, because it's pretty good. It's a good time.
I have not seen that.
No, you haven't, but if you're ever after kind of a dystopian film that is kind of boring for the first two acts until you get to the finale, then this is right up your alley.
Well, you just reminded me, I need to finish the Divergent trilogy,
right.
Of which I've only watched the first one, which is pretty good.
Okay.
But I read reviews about the sequels, and they're apparently not so good, but Bill Skarsgård's in the third one, which is why I started watching. So
and
one day.
Does the Virgin end up dying?
Oh my god.
Die, Virgin. Isn't that what it's called? Anyway. I'm not even sorry.
So the weekend before last I had Hitman, and then this weekend just gone, Anyone But You came to streaming, and I missed that at the cinema.
Yeah,
so
same,
I was looking forward. I didn't want to pay to rent it because I knew it was going to turn up streaming somewhere, and it has. So I was really looking forward to this, but I was a bit worried because reviews have been mixed on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just how it goes with rom-coms. I think people want different things. When I go into a rom-com, I don't really care so much about the script and all of that. I just want to have a good time, like the characters, and just, hanging out with them, and care about the main couple, want them to end up together in the end. And this movie surprised me because I knew it was like a enemies to lovers thing. I'd seen the trailer and all that. But it actually opens with them meeting in a very cute and funny way in a cafe, and they actually spend the night together, and then there's a misunderstanding. And so they part ways and kind of hate each other for each of them has a reason. And then 6 months later they meet up again because the friend of one is dating the sister of the other.
Okay.
So it's like, well, Glenn Powell's character has a roommate, and the roommate, or no, I don't know if they're roommates, best friend, and it's his sister that's with the other sister. So they meet up again in this club, and they're like, oh, it's you, and they kind of hate each other. And then, of course, the two girls are like, hey, we're getting married. We're going to have a wedding in Australia because the stepfather lives in Australia, who is Brian Brown, who
Of course.
is so much fun. I love him in this.
Right.
And so they're in this fancy house in Sydney, and they have to, yeah, be in the house and be doing wedding stuff. And then the rest of the family and friends are trying to kind of get them to get together again so that they won't ruin the wedding by
okay.
hating each other. And
Yeah, right.
but then they know what's happening, so they're like, hey, let's just pretend. And then of course there's, they both have an ex turn up, so they're like, let's just pretend we're together. That's basic plot, but it's really fun. And this is actually, I mean, I liked Immaculate, but I think this is maybe my favorite Sydney Sweeney. See, I started off wrong with her because the first thing I saw her in was White Lotus, and she's like such a annoying character in that I just hated. So that became her personality.
Yeah.
But now I've seen some other things. But yeah, I really liked this because it was really fun. Some of the comedy in it really made me laugh. I'd be interested, well, I don't know, because I know we have different opinions about rom-coms, but I would be interested to see what you think, because I know you hate Sydney Sweeney and don't like to look at her.
Well,
but I do think she's really good in this, and I wonder if that would.
She does,
but then you might not think the movie's good.
She does come across to me as like, the visual representation of the Ebola virus, in which
you need to stop saying stuff.
As soon as she infests my eyeballs, like they basically dissolve into, and my organs break down and everything. But
you have. Did you have access to Binge now? Don't you?
I do.
I think you should at least watch the opening scene.
Yeah,
because it's just so cute and funny, and I just
look. I mean, I am the sort of look. I could put her disgusting disfigurement aside if it meant that the actual movie was good.
I do not know what is wrong with you.
I could put her disfigurement aside if it meant the movie was good. So look, that's okay. But look, I don't know. You've given it 4 stars, but our good friend Justin gave it 1 star, and he has said, with such movie star potential here, it's a shame it's let down by such poor rusted material, as it just meanders from one unfunny scenario to the next. Everyone here deserves better, including the audience. Now, there's a controversial opinion, but so I've got you giving it 4 stars, him giving it 1 star, and then the knowledge that I generally tend to agree with your opinions. So I will check it out at some point.
I know I rate it higher than most, but also a lot of people rate movies based on certain criteria, whereas I just rate movies based on my enjoyment. And I had a lot of fun watching this. I watched it on Saturday morning, and it was just like a perfect Saturday morning movie.
Look, fair enough. I'll endure it at some point, maybe. All right. Well, look, I watched something last night for the 4th time that, oh my God. Once upon a time, somebody gave me a disc with that he had burnt a movie onto, and he said, oh, you've got to watch this. I think it'll be right up your alley. And it was something called Movie 43. I was like, what the hell is that? I had no idea. So I took it home and watched it, and I think I was in a catatonic state for about 7.5 hours afterwards, just staring into the TV set, not at the TV set, into the TV set, because I was just, it's, oh man, I'd probably rather watch Sydney Sweeney's entire filmography than have to watch that again. And yes, I know, 4th time, I'll get to it. So, for those who don't know what Movie 43 is, it's the worst movie ever made in the history of cinema. It's a series of comedy sketch things that like done by really famous directors like Peter Farrelly, Brett Ratner, James Gunn, who I am obsessed with, has done a segment in this thing, which I will never forgive him for. The cast, I would honestly say this movie has the biggest cast of A-list actors ever assembled in a film, like ever.
I know, I was really surprised. It's on my list on my Emma Stone project because she's in it. And I remember when I mentioned that and you told me, because I'd never heard of this film, and then you said how terrible it was. And I looked at on Letterboxd people I follow, just like pretty much everyone's giving it 1 star or half a star. And I'm like, just so confused because looking at the cast list,
and she's in a scene.
So many amazing people.
She's in a scene with Kieran Culkin as well. In their little sketch thing or whatever. But so yeah, the film to me, there's not a single laugh to be had. There's quite often you're just kind of sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, how did this get made? That is the thing. Like, when I watched it, I was like, do we live in a world where this movie exists? And then, so fast forward a few years, and there was one night I was laying in bed looking for a movie to watch, and I think it was on Netflix at the time or something, and so I was like, was that movie as bad as I remembered it? You know, so I put it on, and any time you put this movie on, I'm like a deer in headlights. I can't stop watching. I'm just like, how does this thing exist, you know? It's like a carnival freak show exhibit, you know, with like I don't know, the Elephant Man or something. You just can't look away. It is the Elephant Man of cinema. And then a couple of years later, there was somebody on YouTube who wanted to do a analysis of it with Bongo. So, of course, I had to watch it again. And I was like, okay, I've seen this thing 3 times now. This is insane. Like, what am I doing with my life? Buying Crocs. And then, but then I was talking about it with Kylie recently, and she was like, oh man, this sounds really interesting. I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch her reaction to the film. I don't care about the film. Like, I just want to watch her watching the film, you know? So last night, after we watched a certain film and she was questioning if there was a worse film out there, I was like, you know what? There is. Let me put this on for you. So we watched it, and she enjoyed it. She gave it 3 stars. I seriously, my whole world. That's probably why I went and bought Crocs, because I'm just like, what my world is upside down now. Her review says, oh my god, the amount of OMGs and fucks that came out of my mouth was ridiculous, but I had to give this movie 3 stars because of that reason. Also, the reactions I was getting from my fiance was also a reason for the 3 stars. Because, yeah, I don't know, it was an experience watching that with her, but I couldn't even give it half a star.
I do not understand her rating system.
I don't either. Oh man, I don't know if she was doing it just to mess with me or whatever, but no, I couldn't even give it half a star. It is that bad.
Well, I have to watch that for my Emma Stone project.
And I know what's going to
it's
happen.
Maybe like 4 movies away or something from where I'm up to.
And I'm anticipating the worst case scenario where you're going to be like, oh my god, 4 stars, that was hilarious. That was
from the general consensus of Letterboxd, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
I mean, I hope I don't hate it as much as everyone, because it'll be really hard to sit through if it's that terrible. I wouldn't mind if it's a like 2-star film.
It's not hard to sit through. That's the thing, and that's why I've seen it 4 times.
I guess that's one good thing, because it's like comedy sketches. It's not like a whole story you've got to sit through. I guess that makes it a bit easier, and you've got different people.
But no, it just, for me, it fascinates me. You know, I honestly, I don't know who the first person to sign on was, but then I just keep thinking to myself, they read the script, they knew what they were doing, like how. You know, and then obviously when they were like, okay, we've got these people involved, now let's try and hook other people in. And like, yeah, like I said, there's just so many A-listers in this film. But yeah, it is the worst movie ever made in my book. So anyway, I've now seen it 4 times. And
maybe you secretly like it.
I genuinely, I thought that. I actually, I know, look, I'm a rational person. I did.
Because I remember you saying to me when you heard it was on my Emma Stone project, you were like, I want to watch that with you
Yes.
when you watch it.
Yeah. Well,
If you do, that will be a fifth time. And I'll be watching it this year, so you would have to watch it twice
oh
in a year.
man,
At least you got babies, you've got an excuse not to come over.
yeah, that's true. But no, the thought crossed my mind last night. I was like, do I actually like the film? But I'm suppressing it in my subconscious that I'm like or something. But no, I genuinely don't like it. I genuinely think it is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, and there's just not a single redeeming thing. Like I said, even the James Gunn segment is just like, really, dude, you did this? Like, I don't know. Yeah, wow. Anyway, so yeah, let's stop talking about movie 43. What else you got?
Okay. I have one more before I will hit you with two of the best films that I watched this year.
Ooh.
I was thinking about what to watch. I was actually, let's mention him again, because we haven't so far.
Yeah, wow.
Having a conversation with Nobbins about
Nobbins.
what to watch on Friday night. And then through browsing, I was like, oh yeah, I have Shutterback. I've had it for a while. And I always meant to watch Slashback when it came out. So I decided to give that a go. And it's alien invasion movie. But it's set in a Inuit community that's like really close to the Arctic Circle. And so it's following these teenage girls who are wanting to, go hang out with the hot guy. But they sneak off, or they sneak out in the boat to this other area, and they see this weird bear-looking thing. And it's an alien, and so they try. One of them shoots it, but it doesn't die, and then they get black blood from it on their clothes, and so they leave, and it turns out that's the aliens can like sense or smell them because of that, and so it becomes a thing of trying to survive. But it's really cool. It's low budget, but they do really well with it because the aliens take over bodies, and because they don't know how to act, they don't move properly, which is why it was a weird beer. But then they get into a person, and the way that the people are moving when they have been taken over by aliens is really cool. It looks a bit weird at times, like the mask one of them's wearing because their skin's not like fitting right on them anymore. But the movements as they're walking around and like the way they bend and all of that is really cool. But it's really fun. The girls are really good. The main four girls. So yeah, it was a fun time.
It does sound indeed like a good time.
And I got Nobbins interested because he'd never heard of it, and he watched it too and liked it just as much as I did.
Well, I will try and watch it as well, because I saw you guys were giving it the same rating on Letterboxd and everything, and I was like, wow, I want to be part of the cool kids group too.
But I like to have a good fun alien invasion movie rather than a like full-on one. I was going to do a double feature with Attack the Block because I haven't seen that still. It's been on my list for ages, but as always on a Friday night, I think I'm fine to watch two movies, and then I finish one and I'm like, yeah, I need to go to bed. I'm so tired from working all week. So,
of course.
Attack the Block is still on my list to get to.
I've seen Attack the Block a very long time ago. I seem to recall being a little underwhelmed with that film. Don't even remember any of it, to be honest. I know it's got a huge fan following and a lot of people rave about it and stuff, but it might have been one of those things at the time. Maybe I just wasn't quite in the mood for it or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'll probably check that out again one day too. What else you got? You said there was leading up to two
of the best movies. So on a bit of a Casey Affleck kick, and I've also been watching a bit of Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which
actually,
bit?
I was listening to Nick Cave and Warren Ellis scores,
Mm-hmm.
and they did the score for The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
That is a really long
And
title. I think you should shorten
yeah,
that.
actually, it sticks in my head more since I've watched it
Oh, okay,
than
right.
it did before I watched
Mm-hmm.
it. But yeah, let's just call it The Assassination.
Let's do that.
So yeah, I was listening to that score, and so I was like, okay, I should watch this soon because it's Casey Affleck and Brad Pitt,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did, and I had, did I? I don't know if I read anything beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely did afterwards, at least, of people saying that it's like such an amazing performance by Casey Affleck,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to agree. I thought, oh, Brad Pitt too, but yeah, I think the best thing I've seen from Casey Affleck,
Mm-hmm.
although I haven't seen Manchester by the Sea
Mm-hmm.
still, which he did win the Oscar for, so
Yeah.
I shall compare. But yeah, so this movie, I don't really know. I know who Jesse James is, but I don't know any details
Mm-hmm.
about him or his assassination, except obviously it was done by Robert Ford,
Ah,
as the title
spoiler.
told me before the movie started. But it's a really fun movie because
Mm-hmm.
it's like later in life for Jesse James, and so like there's not much of the gang left. He's got his brother, and then he's kind of got these newer guys, and the movie starts with Robert Ford coming to the group
Mm-hmm.
where these guys are hanging out. They're filling in time before a train robbery,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like fascinated by Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
It's like meeting a celebrity or something.
Right.
He's just like, it's sort of his goal to join the gang.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny, the opening scene, because he walks into this forest area and then he spots Jesse James sitting with his brother's already in the gang.
Mm-hmm.
So sitting with his brother and these other guys. So as he gets close to them, they're laughing at something one said. And so he just kind of joins in and sits down on the like tree that they're
Mm-hmm.
sitting on. And then someone like bangs a thing and is like, food time. And so the other three guys all get up and leave to go
Mm-hmm.
get food. So he's just left sitting on his own,
Right, right.
which is pretty funny. And it just, he plays the awkwardness of it so
Mm-hmm.
well. And then so he tries to talk to the other James brother, and he's kind of like, "You're creepy, go away." And but then he manages to talk to Jesse, and so yeah, he helps in this train robbery. He's just doing all he can to talk to Jesse because he, you know, that's his idol
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. And the movie just kind of follows like Jesse James dealing with the celebrity of him
Mm-hmm.
because they're, you know, there's like books telling stories and whatever, and he's living under assumed names, moving his family around to not get caught.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this really big tense thing with things that happen, like, you know, people, there's like a plot to turn in Jesse James, so then
Mm-hmm.
he's like takes out one of the guys, and then everyone's worried, and there's a lot of, it's
Mm-hmm.
very tense, and especially between him and Robert Ford.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, yeah, there's, like they said, there's a lot of looks. Brad Pitt acts with his eyes really
Yeah,
well.
right.
There's a lot of looks and emotions displayed without words. Casey Affleck's amazing at the awkwardness,
Mm-hmm.
and like his brothers tease him. There's a scene where he pretty much has to talk about sort of how into Jesse James he is, like while Jesse's sitting at the table,
Right, right.
and it's just, you feel the awkwardness of
Mm-hmm.
having to do that. And he's got like a little box under his bed with all his
Mm.
mementos, and yeah, it's just fascinating. I don't know, you have to watch it. It's one of those movies that just kind of draws you in,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
building up until the end where obviously he's going to be assassinated.
Well, yeah, I have watched the film. I own it on Blu-ray. I am not entirely sure why. I think maybe I went with the cast because, like, I'm just looking at the cast list. Like, aside from Brad Pitt, Sam Rockwell, I really like. Jeremy Renner, I like. Garrett Dillahunt, I think is amazing. There's so many people that I like in this film. I know I watched it. I just don't really remember it, and I can't even remember if I liked it or not. So I'm not going to say, I'm not sure if I liked it because I have no idea. Yeah, I can't imagine that I wouldn't have liked it, but I'll definitely have to rewatch it because, yeah, especially after your rave review.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was hoping to like it, and I thought I might because the cast and
Mm,
everything. But yeah, I loved it. I almost gave it 5 stars, but I
wow.
thought no, I'll just do my I'll hold back to 4.5,
Mm,
and then I'll see how it goes on a
mm-hmm,
rewatch, and then maybe I'll keep it the same. Maybe I'll up it. I ordered the Blu-ray straight away.
mm,
That arrived this week, so I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
watch the special features, and then maybe I'll watch the movie again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll definitely check it out again. I mean, yeah, the fact that I actually own it kind of perplexes me, but yeah, that's the kind of world we live
What's
in.
really funny is there's a podcast I listen to called I Saw What You Did,
Mm-hmm,
and they pair movies every episode. And so they recently did this film
mm-hmm,
and they paired it with the 310 to Yuma
mm-hmm.
remake.
Yep.
And so I sat down to watch that yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and
Now, this is a film I
I
can get
watched it
behind.
to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really expecting anything from it,
Mm,
but I was like, oh, Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, okay,
mm-hmm.
they're pretty
Yeah.
great. But it's a Western, and I don't hate Westerns, but I don't love
Mm.
Westerns. So it's not a go-to genre for
Like
me.
me
So I
with young
wasn't
adult
really
fiction.
expecting a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But this movie blew me away as
Oh,
well. It's
yeah.
just weird, and like
It's
Russell
so
Crowe is
good.
amazing. He's
Mm.
just so perfectly cast in that role.
Yes.
And also, like, apart from him and Christian Bale being amazing,
Mm.
which you expect from
Mm-hmm.
them pretty much by now,
Yeah.
Ben Foster is so good, and he steals the
Yeah,
movie.
that.
He's like the ultimate cool villain.
Yep.
He just doesn't give a fuck about
He's
anything,
scary,
and
isn't he?
just yeah,
Yeah.
and his costume is
Yeah,
amazing
yeah.
too. So, yeah, I loved, like, I was whenever you get a character like that, I worry. I'm like, are you just gonna die really soon, and
Mm.
I'm not gonna get to enjoy you? But no, he has a lot of screen
Mm.
time, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
And like, I was pretty much 4-star movie from the
Mm.
start, but then the last act
Yeah.
happened, and I'm like, no, it has to go. I actually thought about 5 stars for this too.
Mm.
Not quite. I don't like it as much as Jesse James, but um, it's slight. It's very small different. It'll be
Mm.
interesting on rewatches to see how it goes over time with
Mm.
which one I like more,
Yeah,
because they're
right.
both quite different. This one obviously has a lot more
Mm-hmm.
action, and there's a really cool review on Letterboxd that I saw afterwards,
Mm.
and it's like, this is everything a Western should be. It ticks all the following boxes: being completely badass, being completely brutal, having compelling antagonists, having compelling protagonists, blurring the line between antagonists and
Mm.
protagonists, having bromance that reaches across the boundaries of good and evil, having entertaining supporting
Mm-hmm.
characters, having a wealth of blah 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 blah. Yeah, that the rest are not as interesting, but I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of, it's brutal, everyone's a badass,
Yep.
and it's so much fun. And yeah, I was really like, I had no idea how it was going to end.
Mm.
I guessed how it was going to
Yeah.
end, like broad strokes,
Mm.
but I wasn't sure if it was going to go in that direction
Right,
and
right.
how it was going to play
Because yeah, it
out.
really leaves you guessing
And
by the end, doesn't it? Like, how the
hmm,
hell is this going to be resolved? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I goddamn love that film. Like I said to you last night, it is up there with my most favorite westerns of all time. I caught it at the cinemas when it came out because the display outside said 310 to your mum. As I was telling you, the cinema that I worked at, although I wasn't working there at the time, it was years afterwards, but yeah, the marquee outside where they put the letters up announcing what the or the new movies are. Yeah, they decided, because everyone was a complete knucklehead, and so they actually put 310 to your mum, YAMUM, up there, and it was glorious to behold. But no, I caught it at the cinemas, and yeah, I was blown away by that film.
I
Everything.
would love to see that at the cinema.
Oh, it was
Both
so
movies,
good.
actually. I would love to
Yeah.
catch them. So hopefully there'll be screening
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah.
for some reason one day.
But I loved it so much. I remember buying the US DVD because that was back in a time when DVDs came out a lot earlier in the US, like sometimes 6 months in advance.
Yeah, I used to do that with TV shows too.
Right. So I ordered the DVD from the US. I was so eager to see it again. And then I bought the DVD of the original, which I don't really remember all that well. I've only seen it once, but if my memory serves me correctly, I did think this was one of the rare instances where the remake was better than the original. But yeah, I since upgraded the US DVD to Blu-ray because, yeah, that movie is essential viewing.
I have ordered the 4K and 310 to Yuma is streaming on Stan for people in Australia, and the original 310 to Yuma, which I want to watch now to compare, is streaming on Binge, which surprised me because, I mean, I know it's a classic, but I just am always surprised to find old movies on streaming platforms, except Amazon. Amazon gets quite a few old films. True. But yeah, Binge, I was surprised to see it there.
Yeah, but no, that one is, oh God, yeah, essential view. I would even recommend it for people who don't like Westerns.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Westerns, but yeah, I was shocked that I liked it so much. I was not expecting it. I was like, I'm just going to watch this for the podcast and hope that it's good enough.
Oh boy, is it ever.
All right. So now I have two Westerns on my, like, some of my best discoveries of the, I mean, it's not Prisoners level because, you know, that's like a...
What is
Prisoners is one of those rare films that I'm like 5 stars, don't have to think about it, don't have to rewatch it, that's just how it is. So these aren't at that level, but you know, they're not far below.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, you've actually got me really wanting to rewatch 310 to Yuma now, because that's the thing with that film, like, it's been years since I last saw it, but I remember so much of it, and especially Ben Foster. That movie made me such a fan of his, but
and that was my callback to earlier with North Fork that no one's seen, because he's in a character who doesn't speak in that, but he's fascinating, and so ever since I saw that, he's popped up in various things, but now I'm like, I need to watch more of his films because sure. He's always such a presence when he does turn up.
Yeah.
Especially this one.
I have one movie left. Did you have anything else before we discuss this one, which is a movie that we have both seen? Or shall we dive right in? Because I'm talking about a movie that is really popular on Netflix at the moment. I believe at the time I watched it, it was the number 2 movie on Netflix in the country.
Thank God Hitman was better than that.
And that is a shark movie called Under Paris, which Kylie was like, oh, we need to watch that because it's a shark movie, and I love shark movies. And I was like, okay, it's, number 2. I mean, obviously it's got to be a good movie. I did not think it was a good movie. I thought it was stupid, especially the final act. Like, just... The whole thing with the explosions and stuff, spoiler, whatever. I thought the shark just looked way too unconvincing. It was just, such bad CG that I didn't think, I wasn't scared of the shark in any sort of way. And the whole environmental message, I am all for movies having an environmental message or whatever, but this one I just felt it didn't do it with, subtext or whatever. Like, I know you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but, that movie was such a bold statement against animal cruelty without really kind of, beating you over the head with it or whatever. Whereas this movie, I kind of felt like the message was just too...
I feel differently. Yep. I didn't take it as a message. I just took it as that's just the plot, that this girl was part of this group.
Yeah. I kind of
so there's all the stuff because there's this extreme group.
Yeah, when you got characters who are just blatantly going, like environment good, fossil fuels bad, or whatever, like I don't know.
Yeah, but people do that.
I couldn't get
And
into this
then,
film. As far as I'm concerned, Shark Attack 3 Megalodon is still the single greatest shark movie ever made, and nothing will ever top it.
not even Jaws?
Oh, hell no. Jaws doesn't have a scene where two people are exhausted from an encounter with a shark, and one of them says, the girl says to the guy, oh, I'm exhausted. And the guy's like, I am too, but hey, I'm kind of wired. How about I take you home and eat your pussy? Like, Jaws does not boast a line like that. So, yeah, sorry, Shark Attack 3 is the best shark movie ever made. Boom. Mic drop. But anyway, no, I'm glad that you liked Under Paris more than I did.
It's just one of those films. It's just fun. It's
I didn't get fun
not
from
the
it.
kind of move. Well, I mean, I just laughed at how stupid some of the stuff was, and went with it. I don't know. It's the kind of I knew it was going to be that. It's a Netflix shark movie. Like, you kind of know what you're getting with that, and so I literally just sat there with popcorn on a Friday afternoon, and I think it was when I had my half day off work, so I
Right.
came home, watched a
I
movie,
believe it
and
was.
it was fine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I struggled to stay awake through it. It was
Also, I know a lot of people went on about the CG with the shark, and I
Yeah.
guess I just don't care
Right.
because I know it's not a real shark, because I didn't think it was like so terrible it was offensive to my eyes. So
not like
it was
Sydney
fine.
Sweeney. Yeah, no, that's fair. Like, yeah, I'm, hey, if anyone watched it and enjoyed it, that is fantastic. But I am not one of those
actually,
people.
no, never mind.
What's that?
I was going to say something, but it's a point I will bring up later.
All right, fair enough. Cool. Well, those are the movies that we have watched, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, in that case, I do believe it is time to get stuck into our main films, of which this time around we have The Fly, we have Stardust, and we have Phantoms, not necessarily in that order. So let's get stuck into the star attraction, The Fly. Alright, so The Fly is a movie from the year of 1986. I know a few good things that came out in 1986. Wink, wink. I'm talking about Kylie, never mind. So this is a film that has not many people in it, really. You've got Jeff Goldblum, you've got Gina Davis, you've got John Getz, and that's pretty much the main people who are in it. And it is a remake of a movie from the 50s. I can't specifically remember the year, where a scientist named Seth Brundle invents a teleporting machine where he can teleport matter from one pod to the other. And one night when he does a human experiment, because there's been all sorts of complications and stuff, but he decides to go through it anyway. He decides to transport himself from one pod to the other, unknowing that there is a fly that has gotten into the pod, and the process splices his DNA together with that of the fly, and he starts sort of metamorphosizing into a creature, like a human fly hybrid, disgusting, icky thing. In the meantime, Gina Davis is a reporter who becomes involved with him and, sort of witnesses the tragic transformation of Seth Brundle into a gooey, sticky, awful, disgusting creature. That's basically it. Yeah, so anyway, so how many times have you seen this movie in the past, do you reckon?
Once?
Okay, cool. I've seen it
Yeah.
many times. I really love this film. I also owned the original Vincent Price version on VHS at one point in my life, when I had VHS tapes. And this is definitely... Actually, the two films are very different, from what I remember of the original. Like, it's almost a thing where you can't really sort of say, oh, the remake is so much better than the original because they're so different, you know? This one was more inspired by the original in a lot of ways. So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on David Cronenberg's The Fly?
It's interesting, and I forgot that David Cronenberg directed it till
Right.
I started watching and his name came up
Uh-huh.
because I always I'm just looking at his filmography because I'm kind
Mm.
of hit and miss with his films that I
Mm.
have seen
Right.
because I haven't liked all of them, but
Mm-hmm.
mixed
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this one's really good. I watched it, I don't know when, like fairly recently, I'd say, like, within the last 10 years or so.
Mm.
It's not one that I saw early on.
Yep.
And yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually didn't remember it very well, so it was good to watch it again.
Mm.
It's kind of why I suggested it because it's been
Right,
so long.
right.
I think I was going through a Jeff Goldblum kick when I watched it the
Mm-hmm.
first time.
Yep.
And yeah, it's so funny, some of the things in it. Like, the movie starts with him meeting Gina Davis at some event
Mm.
thing. And he's just like, hey, come check out what I'm doing. And she
Mm.
just goes off with him and he drives her to this like deserted, dodgy looking alleyway behind a building. And then he's just like, hey, come in. And I'm just like, oh, this is, it could
Times
be the
have
start of a
changed.
horror movie,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
different
yeah.
kind of horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I love all the body horror stuff. I'd forgotten all of and that fingernails scene.
Oh, isn't that nasty? Yeah,
Yeah,
because flies don't.
that's
But yeah, no spoilers here. But let's just say flies don't need fingernails. So let's just get rid of those things. Yeah, I mean, David Cronenberg is obviously famous for body horror.
yeah,
And this movie is just one of the most extreme ones. I yeah, it fascinates me, the how they've actually really taken a lot of the science of how flies live and eat food and all of that sort of thing. And put it into this character. Like, so yeah, eventually his teeth fall out, and so to eat food, he's got to vomit acidic like goo onto it to dissolve it in order to suck it up, which is just yet another thing that is just absolutely disgusting. But
yeah.
yeah, but
This also has the fun 80s thing of like what the computers look like.
yes, oh my god, that was so
I love
retro.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That definitely aged. I thought it was interesting in that the antagonist of the film is also the protagonist. I mean, he starts off as a really likable guy, and I think the casting of Jeff Goldblum was so perfect for this kind of role. So because he starts off as a likable guy, by the end, you kind of like, even though he's doing sort of despicable things, you're not completely like, oh, I really hate this guy, I want him to die or whatever. You feel sympathy for him largely because a lot of the things that he's doing is because of this transformation. He's not in control
Yeah.
anymore.
I got more to say in the spoiler section to
Yeah,
do with
yeah,
the
yeah.
ending, but
Oh,
it's
definitely.
quite a sort of journey of emotions through the
Yeah.
like as the plot
Because
progresses.
there's some shots in the film that would ordinarily look really scary if it was a truly frightening villain, especially when he's crawling along the wall and stuff. And he does that thing where he's, kind of looks back at the camera, like, straight into the lens. And it's just like, ooh, that's really eerie. But it's Seth, we love Seth. So it was very interesting in that sort of way. But yeah, no, look, I absolutely love the film. I think the only thing that held it back from a perfect 5 stars for me was that it it did kind of feel a little claustrophobic, being that it was mostly just two characters in one little environment, and it sort of, yeah, I know sometimes, like when I was talking about the disappearance of Alice Creed, that's exactly the same sort of thing. Three characters, one room, but they did it so much better. I thought it was a lot more interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on the story. Like this was a very condensed story. Like it could have been done in so many different ways
Yeah,
and
yeah.
styles.
Mm.
But yeah, because it is kind of, well, I mean, it feels rushed, but not in a bad way. But like
Yeah.
stuff happens pretty quickly once
Oh, doesn't
things
it?
get
Yeah.
going.
Well, even like at the start, like the two of them seem to have this relationship out of nowhere. It's sort of like, wow, like, hey, how about you come up to my place and look at my pods? Oh, by the way, we're in love now. It's like, wow, okay, that they didn't waste time there.
Well, I guess there's sort of there's some time skip scenes that you don't
Yeah.
really know how much time because he's like, "Hey, why don't you write a
Mm.
book instead?" And then suddenly it skips to her with her camera and that, so you
Mm.
don't know how much time because
True.
obviously he at the beginning of the film he hasn't worked out how to do it yet, and
Mm.
then it shows like how to do it with living creatures, and then it shows
Mm.
when he gets there.
Yeah, yeah.
So could
But
be a
yeah,
while,
look,
but yeah. I guess
overall,
it's
yeah.
unnecessary to the plot, so they just skip
Oh,
over it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think it is just, yeah, one of the greatest films from the 80s. And I mean, that catchphrase that was on the posters and everything, be afraid, be very afraid, is such an iconic line. And yeah, I love the film, and I will watch it again and again and again. And yes, I definitely have things I want to bring up in the spoiler section because,
Yeah.
yeah, particularly.
Also, oh yeah,
Oh no, well,
no,
particularly
finish you think?
why there's a sequel that I've never seen before.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequel.
No, apparently it is bad.
Yeah.
I am interested to watch the original again, though, mainly because Vincent
Mm.
Price is one of my most favorite actors in the history of films. But yeah, I don't hugely remember it, so yeah, I definitely want to check that
There's
out
a lot
again.
of old films I haven't seen. I've only seen the remakes. Like I
Mm-hmm.
only just last year maybe saw the original House on Haunted Hill,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't remember if I've seen the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, right, right, yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say too. One thing I love in movies
Mm-hmm.
is when the actors are real life couples.
Oh,
I
I
just
didn't
always
realize they
find
were.
that interesting. You didn't know that?
No, I don't follow celebrity relationships and stuff. I
Ah,
really
yeah.
don't.
They met on a movie a few years
Mm.
before this, and they made three movies together. Um,
Ah, yeah, I realized that they were in
and this
films
is one of them.
together, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're married for a while.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, actually, oh, hang on, was that film? I don't know. I was watching something with Kylie. I'm trying to remember what it was now, and she was like, "Oh, no, no, sorry, it was movie 43. That's right, where there's actually a few couples."
Last night.
Yeah, hey, everything is a blur at the moment. All right. No, because movie 43 had Chris Pratt and Anna Faris in a scene, and she was like, "Oh, they're a couple," and
Mm.
then there was another thing where there was another couple as well. So, no, I'm off the hook. It wasn't
Were
this
they
movie. So yeah, there you go.
were they a couple at the time?
I think
Oh, I guess so, because they probably
so.
wouldn't work together after they split.
Oh, you never know. Some
Well,
some people do.
yeah,
Um,
but it's
no,
it's
the
not
only
as fun then either.
the only other thing that I loved about The Fly that that is worth mentioning, of course, is the use of practical effects as well. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, for
there's just
sure.
I don't know if there was any CG. Oh, there would have been just little elements, but yeah, all the body
That's
horror
the
stuff.
great thing about old, like really old films, is
Mm,
that they couldn't, so they didn't.
yeah, yeah, I know. Let's
And they relied on practical effects because
yes.
that's all they had. So they
Mm.
had really good people doing
But I
stuff.
think the effects really held up to this day. I mean, and a lot
Mm.
of the stuff like the teeth and the fingernails and everything was like extremely hard to watch. So yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah, that
hats
that
off.
fingernail scene, like it's been a while since something has got me. Usually, dental things are the
Mm,
worst for me. There's the movie Bug
mm-hmm,
has a thing. I because I am scared of the dentist.
mm,
I think that's why dental things are worse for me than other things.
right, right,
But yeah, this one
yeah,
got me more than gore
yeah.
stuff usually does.
Oh
So
yeah. No, it's funny because
yeah.
I
That's
was
good.
watching it with Kylie. She fell asleep through it because that's what we do now. And she was resuming it the next day, watched the second half that she'd missed, and I just heard from the next room just a whole bunch of "what the fuck" and "oh my god" and all this sort of things being exclaimed in absolute. Yeah, she was aghast, but yeah, that's sign that the movie has done its job. So yeah. But no, I was very happy that we got to rewatch that for our main movie. So,
Yeah.
what are we gonna? Which one are we going with for the next one?
Well, let's do Phantoms first because I don't want to end on that note.
I'm going to be nice, okay? Because, like I said, I respect the
But
fact that
it's
you
not
enjoyed it.
even that. It's it just makes me sad because I know that you didn't like it
I know,
at all.
and look, I tried honestly, but you,
I thought for it's hard to tell with you. This
mm,
was the point I was going to make about the other film
mm-hmm,
earlier, but um to to start with this, I'll just say I have a bit of a nostalgia with this because I saw it a
mm-hmm,
long time ago, and in the way that it's almost like a comfort
mm,
film because it
yeah,
just has the feeling, and a lot of stuff that you probably think is crap.
mm,
It's interesting how there's like a line between the silly stuff in this
mm,
I find funny and kind of
mm-hmm,
charming, but you obviously thought was just bad.
hmm,
So it's just interesting that there can be the different perception, and
exactly,
then,
yeah,
but at the same time, you have all these kind of so bad they're good movies,
yeah.
and so it's just interesting that silly stuff can either be hated or
Mm-hmm.
loved.
Yeah, yeah. So for those playing at home who are not familiar with what Phantoms is about, why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, so this is based on a Dean Koontz book, and I think that's part of the hate because everyone hates Dean Koontz
Oh.
apparently. And I think there's like he gets compared to Stephen King, and
Mm,
I don't really get that because
mm,
yes, they're both horror writers, although I think Dean Koontz does more thrillers these days.
right.
But they're completely different kinds of writers. Like, everyone knows the kind of writer Stephen King is, but
Mm,
Dean Koontz books back in the day, I loved reading them because they were just kind of, like light horror fun,
right.
like not light horror, but that you could just breeze through
Mm-hmm.
them. They were just non-stop fun action. They weren't super in depth
Mm,
and like amazing
mm-hmm.
storytelling. So I don't know why he gets the hate and whether it's just because he gets compared to Stephen King and he's nothing like Stephen King. So anyway, so this is based on one of his books, and basically we've got our two main characters, Rose McGowan and Joanna Going, who I have not seen in anything else.
The Wish version of Alyssa Milano. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Every single time she
that
was on,
is
we were
true.
both watching it. We were both like, "Oh my gosh, she looks like Alyssa Milano." Like, yeah,
Oh, that's really funny.
yeah, yeah.
So they're sisters, and the older sister Jennifer
Mm-hmm.
is has I don't know if she lives there or she's just recently moved there, but she's the doctor in this small
Mm,
town, and she's picked up Rose McGowan from another town who's come to stay. And when they come back into town, like it's empty, and there's like cars running, and there's things on the stove in the house and all of that, but there's no
mm,
people, although they do find the body of the cook or someone known to the sister. So they're freaking out because they don't know what's going on. Ben Affleck is the sheriff, and he turns up with a couple of other guys. They were out of town for something, so they've just come back and found this empty town as
mm-hmm.
well. And so the whole beginning of the movie is setting up what happened, where has everybody disappeared
Mm-hmm.
to, and it goes from there.
Mm.
I don't want to spoil
Yeah, fair enough.
like
And
a lot
yeah,
of this movie because
um,
yeah, a lot of it is the mystery, and yeah, it's not it's a 90s film. There's some pretty crap CG. um there's moments where someone gets thrown around, which is hilarious because it's done really badly, but
mm,
like I said, there's like a charm to it. The acting's not the best, and there's the plot's not the best, but I don't know, I just find it really fun.
Look, that's fair enough. And like you said, yeah, we all have those comfort films that so many people hate, but we will defend to the end. This is why I'm not going to sit here and just absolutely blast the film in your presence, because, yeah, I just feel like that is a shitty thing to do. Because I know what it's like when people, when you like a film and they're like, oh, fucking hated that film. Oh, I couldn't even get 10 minutes and I had to turn it off. Not anyone in particular, but yeah, moving on. When I told you that I thought I had seen this film, ages and ages and ages ago, but just didn't remember it, I've actually got a feeling that I might have started watching it, but funnily enough, gotten about 10 minutes in and turned it off. I just couldn't get into it. I kind of thought it was just too slow to get going at the start. Like you sort of following these sisters, they're coming into town, they see all this stuff happening, which is kind of, for me personally, just taking a little bit too long. And then by the time you kind of start putting together what's going on, with like Peter O'Toole's character, with that whole clue as to his name and whatnot and stuff, I just kind of lost interest by that point. I didn't care much for the characters. I didn't actually think the performances were too bad.
It was mixed.
Yeah, it was.
I think mixed. Some of it was just the style. Like Peter O'Toole's character, was pretty funny. I love the
very over
bit.
The top.
They're getting they're like, oh, we have to have someone go be bait for stuff. Yeah. And everyone's looking at him, and then he's like, no. Oh no.
And then the next shot is like him standing outside. Like, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was some shots that I really appreciated. Like there was that one shot of, was it Peter O'Toole's character? I can't remember. Standing in the street, and then all of a sudden, there's just like 100 people gathered around, and the way it was
that was when he went out.
Yeah, of course. The way that shot was lit and everything it looked so freaking cool. I liked the idea, of like this snowy town that's empty. Kind of had sort of Silent Hill vibes in that respect. There were a few. Yeah, but just overall, it just took too long to start going anywhere. But and again, this is just for me personally, like when it did start going somewhere, I just kind of like had lost interest by that point. And so, the third act, I was kind of
this is a thing again, because I know from like previous movies that we've talked about that I can be on board with slow movies that you can't.
Oh, yeah. No, look, I'm not against slow movies by any means, but I
know, but I just mean I have told you, this film's really good, and you've watched it and gone, no, it's too slow.
Yeah. No, it wasn't so much that it was slow. It was just that not enough really happened to grab my interest.
Quiet movies, not necessarily slow, but like there's not a lot happening.
Yeah.
And I like feel them, and you just get bored.
That's fair enough.
Like Last Shift.
Well, yeah. But let's not end the Phantoms thing on a sour note. Tell me more about why you like it so much. What are some other things that really impressed you with this film?
I don't know. It's just a thing. I don't know. I saw it way back around the time it came out. Not straight away, but obviously before 2001, because then I watched Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and The Line was in it, and I was like, Phantoms.
Which, funnily enough, sorry to interrupt, but I didn't remember that it was actually Ben Affleck himself who said that line. Because after reading all of these,
that's why it's so brilliant.
Yeah. But after reading, because it's been ages since I've seen Strike Back, but after reading all the reviews for Phantoms, and all
that scene obviously stood out to me.
All these people who were like, Jay said it best and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, okay, and then I was trying to explain it to Kylie, and so I went onto YouTube and everything and watched that scene. I was like, oh my god, I completely misremembered it. It was actually Ben Affleck himself who said that line. So, which I'm not going to say it. I'm going to get through this whole thing without saying that line. So there you go. So, but anyway.
yeah, I don't know. I've just always found this. I don't know. It's just fun. It's a bit of a like, as the review said, it's kind of borrows from The Thing, but I mean, it's obviously nowhere near the level of The Thing. But I mean, in the same realm of story, sort of. It's not. Yeah, it's. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because I'm like very basic, but it's not as action packed. It's not as anything else as The Thing, but that kind of story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a good little 90s horror flick.
Excellent.
And I'm sad that I thought you might think it was average.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That was too much to hope for.
I mean, I'm being very diplomatic about this film right now. In your honor, I am not.
What
being
is
too
interesting is there's a 4K coming out for this next month, which I was quite shocked to find out about. For all the movies like Prisoners that don't have 4Ks, I'm curious why the studio decided to release Phantoms. I mean, I'm happy I will buy it, but I don't really get how it's decided which movies get the 4K
because I'm just
treatment.
looking on Letterboxd. Like, I mean, the majority of people are giving it 3 stars, so I know I'm definitely in the minority.
My like proper rating of it would be a little bit lower than 4 stars,
but you've got
but
the
I just
nostalgia.
decided to up it to 4 because just the feeling. But the movie itself, I probably would say 3 or 3.5. But it's like how Encino Man gets 5 stars because I mean it's not a masterpiece in the traditional sense.
Definitely
but
not.
I love it so much, and it's one of my most watched and most favorite movies. So 5
No,
stars.
I totally understand that, and that's why I didn't want to sit here just absolutely trashing Phantoms because, it is heartbreaking to hear people, especially people you care about, like, ripping on movies.
But
that you love.
I mean, this is understandable. If I had, like if you watch The Assassination of Jesse James and then you're like, oh, I see why I didn't remember this, it's pretty shit, then that's gonna be worse than you not liking Phantoms.
But is it worse than me buying Crocs? That's the
No, that's one of the worst
it
things
is,
that
and
you can do.
I own that.
No movie opinion is as bad as buying Crocs.
Yeah. But no, with the whole thing with Phantoms, I mean, it's like, you were very polite in your appraisal of Kung Pao at the time. So, this is me returning the favor, if you will. So, yeah.
We're civilized people.
We are.
We know that everyone has different movie opinions. And even though we are similar in so many, we are not similar in all.
That is true.
And it would be boring if we were exactly the same.
Would it ever? Yeah. But anyway, look, I tried to like it, but I just couldn't get there. All right. Well, our final movie to talk about, of course, is a movie that is really dear to my heart, but it's strangely a movie that I've only seen like 3 times, I think, and I don't really talk about it much, but every time I watch it, I'm like, this is the freaking best film I've ever seen. So that is 2007 Stardust, which was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who has done quite a diverse bunch of films. The Kingsman films, the first Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class. He's done a lot of really sort of quirky films. But so this is a film that is set, I can't remember how far back now. It probably doesn't really matter. And it's about a young guy named Tristan who is in love with a girl named Victoria who wants nothing to do with him, which I found so quirky. And she's going to be proposed to by a guy named Humphrey who, oh my God, I've only just realized that was Henry Cavill. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
I thought he looked familiar, but I mean,
as
I don't
well.
know Henry Cavill that well
He
anyway.
didn't look
and he's
like
got
Henry
a moustache
Cavill.
and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
But yeah, I was like, he looks familiar. Who is that? Yeah, I didn't.
The funny thing
work it
is,
out.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh, Henry Cavill was in it. Who was he? Oh my god, that was him. Anyway, with an unrecognizable Henry Cavill. So yeah, Humphrey is going to propose to her on her birthday in a week's time, but Tristan wants to propose to her as well for some unbeknownst reason. This guy is just such a naive fool. And so one night he's out with Victoria and they see a shooting star fall to the earth, and she says to him, all right, go and fetch me that star and you can have my hand in marriage. So he goes and finds the star, who is in human form, played by Claire Danes. Meanwhile, there is a trio of witches led by Michelle Pfeiffer who want the star's heart to give them longevity. We've also got a bunch of princes who are vying for the kingdom because their father, the king, who was played by Peter O'Toole, cast a necklace out which flew up into the heavens and knocked the star out of the sky, and she's now wearing it, and so these princes have to get the necklace in order to become king, and oh my god, there's so many things going on in this film. And oh my god, I love this film so dearly. To me, this is the epitome of fun. It is, the love story is just so heartwarming. I love the way that every time Tristan and Yvain, the star, are together, when she's falling in love with him gradually, and anytime that he's around, she glows. I just think that was such a cool little thing, to show how she's feeling. Although the cast is just incredible, aside from the ones I mentioned, you got Ricky Gervais, Jason Fleming, Mark Strong, narrated by Ian McKellen. There's just so many people in this thing. Also, did you notice, because I know that you are a coupling fan, that one of the sisters was played by Sarah Alexander, one of the witches from Coupling.
No, but I don't feel bad for not knowing
Because she was buried in
because,
makeup, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recognized her straight away at the time, because David Williams from Little Britain was also one of the dead prince ghosts as well. There's so many people in this film. But yeah, it is just such an enjoyable ride. So I know that this is your first time seeing it. So over to you. What did you think?
Well, I just Googled Henry Cavill in this.
Yeah.
And I still think it doesn't look like him. But I only know him as Superman, and so seeing him with this blonde floppy hair and moustache looks completely different from Superman. So, but I'm just looking at it. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
god, yeah, no, I'm looking at him
don't
right
see
now
it.
as well, and it's no wonder we didn't recognize him. That is incredible hair and makeup work right there. Yeah, no, I had no idea that was him. So, yeah, there you go. So yeah, what did you think of the film?
Yeah, well, I think I actually have seen this before, or at least parts of it,
controversy.
because I remembered all the Michelle Pfeiffer stuff with the being the witch and everything. So I think I may have seen it or part of it because it wasn't all familiar, but
Yeah, right.
that stuff was because I think she's really cool.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that was a really cool part. And my favorite thing was probably the dead princes.
Yep.
And the fact that they were just hanging around and having a little commentary
Yeah,
and
yeah.
cheering and whatever and then as people died they joined
Yeah.
the ranks.
Especially the way that they died, the guy that hit the pavement gets his face all splattered and stuff. Yeah, the humor in this, I think, is just out of this world. It's my kind of humor.
I have to say though, it kind of just went along for me. It was only really in the last act that really bumped my rating up because this when all the stuff started happening. So it kind of I wasn't completely in it the whole way. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars in the end because I really liked the last part.
Yep.
So yeah, but it was probably like 3 to 3.5 through
Okay.
the different
Right,
times.
right.
But yeah, it was really fun. And because I think you said last time you compared it to the Princess Bride
Yeah, a lot of
feeling.
people think they're sort of companion films in a way.
Yeah, and I see that.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I haven't seen The Princess Bride for years either,
Same.
so that's due for a rewatch. But I feel like similar vibes.
Oh, absolutely,
So
yeah.
I think that would be a good double feature.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Mm.
I don't really feel like I want to talk about Robert De Niro's character too much until we get to the spoiler section because,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was waiting for that because I had read a review where someone just said something about his performance. Not, I can't remember what they said, just something that made me think, okay, there's something different about
yeah,
his performance that has, made this comment. So I was once we met him, I was like, okay, and was his name Captain
it was
Shakespeare?
Captain Shakespeare. Yep.
I'm like, that's an interesting name. And so yeah, when it was revealed why people note his
Yeah,
performance,
yeah,
that was pretty
yeah.
fun.
Oh my god, that yeah, let's talk about him in the spoiler section. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, overall, I really just find this film is so enchanting. It's another one that because we were taking turns with kid duties and stuff. Kylie fell asleep through it, but I am, she wants to watch it again, and I'm already ready to watch it again now. I'm like, this is the kind of film I can just rewatch over and over again because it is so much fun. It is so beautiful.
This is
Yeah,
like a summer film, I feel, and a summer film to me is not Queensland summer,
no,
but summer in the feeling of a actual perfect
yep,
summer where the temperature's perfect, the sun's shining, there's trees around, just
yeah,
that kind of it's like the Sunday morning
yeah,
feeling,
yeah,
summer film feeling where it's just there's dark stuff in it. The witches are after our heart and everything, but it's just nice, has a nice
it
feeling. And
does.
I haven't read it's not a Neil Gaiman that I've read, and so I might have to read it now.
Yeah, yeah. No, look, I gave it some thought because this was my first time rating the film, but I was like, you know what, I can't fault it. There is just nothing about this film that bothered me. Actually, the only thing that bothered me was I know it's going to sound kind of weird, but honestly, Claire Danes' costume when she first lands, like that silver dress, for some reason I find is one of the sexiest movie costumes in the history of cinema. I know normally, when people think of sexy costumes, they're like, Princess Leia in the slave gear from Return of the Jedi, or some sort of tight revealing kind of a thing. But there is something about that dress that just sends me, and the fact that they changed her out of it and into something else was kind of like, you didn't have to do that, but whatever.
My favorite sort of costume thing that stood out to me was when Michelle Pfeiffer makes herself young again and she has the sparkling things in her
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's I was like, that's cool. And then I'm thinking, anytime I wear some kind of costume,
yeah.
I want some gold thread to put. Well, it
Cool.
wouldn't work with my hair because it's dark, but
Oh,
like some sparkling thread. It just really
I don't
added
know. I think
to like from
with dark hair, maybe the gold sparkles would stand out even more, like against the dark. I don't know. I'm no
yeah,
expert.
it's not the same
Oh,
feeling.
fair enough. But yeah, little and there's so many little things, like when Michelle Pfeiffer's character transforms herself into looking young again or whatever, and just the way that she's, oogling herself in the mirror, like, and just sort of like giving herself a little ooh, and stuff like that. I just thought was so cool. There were so many little things in this film. It is just full of stuff. Like, that's the thing. The energy in this film, I think, just keeps going. Every single scene, something cool happens and drives the story forward. And yeah, there's just never a dull moment in it. So, yeah, no, I absolutely love this film. 5 stars all the way. I've got to watch it more often. Oh, and I should mention the first time I ever saw this film, I was working as a camera operator for a sports company back in 2007. I was on an assignment somewhere up north, staying in this weird place, and there was a cinema down the road, and I thought to myself, I had an off day, and I thought, okay, I might go watch a movie, and so I chose this one because I thought, oh yeah, it looks interesting, good cast and stuff. And I went into the theater, and it was this tiny little thing that had 20 seats. There were 4 rows of 5 seats, and it was like a private screening room, and I was just like, I must be in the wrong place, you know. And so I actually went out again, and I was like, no, that is the right cinema. And I went in, and like, yep, sure enough. The screen was kind of smallish, but you know, it was big enough for a room like that. But that was the weirdest theatrical experience I've ever had. I mean, all these years later, I still vividly remember it. I couldn't remember if there'd been anybody else in the cinema with me, but I did remember that when they were talking about in the film about traveling all the way to Ipswich, I do remember there were some people who were snickering because, for those who don't know, we actually have a city called Ipswich, which is fairly close by where we are, like, I don't know, an hour or 2 away. And so, yeah, there were some people who were kind of like, you said Ipswich. So, no, there were other people in there at the time. But, yeah, no, I will never, ever forget that cinema. And if I could ever go back there one day, I would actually kind of like to go back there again because, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's just come into my head. I'm wondering if I saw this at the cinema.
Okay.
I have an image in my head of the Regent Theatre that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm remembering it because I went to see it or I'm just remembering seeing like the big stands for it and everything just while I was there. I don't know. Who knows?
We will
that was a long time
never know.
ago.
But anyway, you've seen it now. You gave it 4 stars, which is perfectly fine by me.
Oh, can we just skip back to The Fly because
Sure.
I just noticed I wrote down a quote that I forgot
yeah.
that I wrote down because I'm like, this is such a cool line. When Seth is just like, I've come here to say one magical word to you. Cheeseburger.
That's right.
And then they go have cheeseburgers. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember the context of the scene now, but I'm just like, yeah, that's a pretty good line.
I don't either, actually. I do remember that line, of course, but yeah. Well, there you go. Well, I don't know about you, but I think that concludes our chatty chat about the things that we've seen.
Yeah, so let's get stuck into what the next movies are going to be.
I'm excited. I'm excited because we're going to be talking about a movie that, if the Star Wars trilogy had never existed, this would be my most favorite movie of all time. As it stands, it is my number 2 most favorite movie ever, and that is Seven. Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, it's a horror movie. But yes, the extremely dark noir crime thriller from 1995 with Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, which we can mention that he's in it now. I mean, at the time it was very hush-hush, but we're not living in the 90s anymore.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else with that, but
No, because his performance is amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, no, oh my God, that film, I'm not going to talk about it now because I'm going to go on for an hour or so. So
I have only seen it once a long time ago, so let's hope that I completely love it when I watch it again.
Couldn't possibly tell you how many times I've seen it. I know every line of dialogue backwards. I
think I have your Blu-ray actually because I said I haven't watched it for years. I need to rewatch it, and I think you gave me a copy.
I probably did. All right, that's fine. I'm sure it's probably streaming somewhere. I'll figure out a way to watch it. Don't you worry about that. Cool. So yes, that is going to be our main feature film that we talk about next week. Would you like to commence the proceedings as far as our three choices? Because I think I went first last time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Wow, that's a memory. Okay, so for the first film, I have two because one's just cute. Someone said, this movie feels like a hug.
Oh.
But the other one says, the best way to describe it is perfectly imperfect. The wonder, the romance, the chemistry, the suspense, it's all there. This movie is raw and real, and you'll want to grab the characters by the shoulders and talk some sense into them, but you'll also feel for them and understand why they do what they do. The backdrop of New York City at night adds the perfect non-distracting setting for this story to unfold. And not enough people know about this movie, and it's a shame.
All right.
So that's the first movie. Second movie, such a lovely, odd, surreal, thoroughly unique, beautifully filmed fable for adults. So many absolutely striking images, even though it's certainly not for all tastes. It should be more well-known than it is. I guess I have a theme.
Yeah.
And then I have another one for that, which is, well, the story itself might become a bit too melodramatic for my personal taste. The deeply metaphorical imagery throughout is intensely beautiful and shows fine cinematic craftsmanship from the directors.
Right.
And the last movie, quite possibly the finest example of a slow burn film I've ever come across. The director is so deliberate in how he keeps a sense of danger always just past where the frame ends. The main actor is quite possibly the best actor in the industry today, and this is far and away the crown jewel of his career from what I've seen. It's earnest, quiet, melancholic, and ultimately at its heart a compelling drama about a family going through a hard time, yet it always seems to be on the verge of tipping into a genre film. This movie is a must-see for anyone who likes movies.
Ooh, okay. Oh, man,
And I am excited to watch any of these.
I'm deliberating between the first one and the third one. I'm going to go with the first one. I don't know. There were some things that you said in that one that kind of compelled me. So what do you got?
We are keeping in the sort of romance genre. We are going to be watching...
The tapping of the keys sounds like a drum roll.
I know, because I was suddenly like, is it... Yeah, see, I remembered the title wrong. Good thing I got paranoid.
Drum roll.
What the fuck?
I don't know. What are you doing to me? Do you not even know the movie that you've just...
Letterboxd doesn't like typos. It doesn't go,
Why do you
I
need
think you meant
Letterboxd?
this.
Just tell me what it is.
Because I remembered the title wrong.
Oh.
It is Before We Go.
Okay. I don't know.
Directed by Chris Evans.
Oh, okay, right. What year is that from?
2014.
All right. Before We Go. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it gets a lot of comparisons to Linklater because it's about a man and woman who meet by chance and hang out for a night.
Okay. Does it have Sydney Sweeney in it? That's all I want to know. No, in that case, I'm on board.
It is pretty much just Chris Evans and Alice Eve, who...
Oh, okay.
I think you know her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's been in tons of things.
Yeah. She's been in actually a few good things, and she's not terribly difficult to look at, but, that's just my opinion. Anyway.
Well, I hope you like this, and I'm worried because I know our sort of romance likes seem to be different based on recent movies that we've talked about, but hopefully this one will be a winner for you. I gave it 4.5 stars because I'm looking forward to watching it again because I've only seen it the one time, but I just loved it.
Fair enough.
So
all right.
I thought it was cute and fun, and
I will be checking that one out. All right, so for the 3 movies that I have picked for you, I've got 3 Letterboxd reviews. The first one, it says, I'm sorry, I really like this film. Yes, it's cheesy, but there's so much to like. Vintage futurism, dark themes, fantastic score, great sound design, and Anthony Perkins being disemboweled by a spinning blade. What more do you need? So that's my first one. The second one, I think I've got to be careful that I don't mention something in particular. We'll see. I needed something that I knew would be fun, cheerful, and a guaranteed laugh, so how could I go wrong with this classic? The jokes are creative, the filmmaking great, and the characters almost as memorable as the ones from what it is spoofing. To call this movie simply good would be a great disservice, mostly because we all know that good is dumb. So there's that one. And then finally, let's see you avoid this one. Gosh, what a charmer. This isn't quite Dazed and Confused level, but this film certainly has aspirations to match its soundtrack and comedic structure. I'm leaving it at that. And that was the movie that I had to avoid the title. So, yeah, there you go. So, yeah. What are you leaning towards?
Okay, fine. You got me. Any movie that gets compared to Dazed and Confused, I have to take a look.
I kind of thought that might be the case. So the third film that we're going to be watching is Detroit Rock City.
Oh.
What?
I think I've seen that.
Well, according to Letterboxd, you haven't. So.
Because I remember I sold the DVD on eBay and had some jerk that bought it and said it didn't work.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you...
I mean, I don't remember it, so I could watch it again.
Look, that qualifies, I think. Yeah.
Edward Furlong.
Yep, no, activity from friends. It does not say that you've watched it, so I took that as...
probably because I've not come across it in my travels to click the thing.
Okay, well, did you want to go with that one then, or did you want to pick another one?
Yeah, well, I don't remember it,
all right.
So...
Cool.
It can count as a first watch.
All right, excellent. All right, well, we'll just go with that anyway.
Oh, is it going to play that song, though?
Which song? Oh, that song.
Was made for loving you.
I can't remember. It has actually been a little while since I've seen the film myself, but
let's hope they stick to the other hits
I'm pretty
that I haven't heard a million times.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay. But anyway, so all right. So that's our list for next week. We've got 7. We've got Before We Go, and we've got Detroit Rock City. Cool. It sounds like a good time. All right. Well, we're going to jump into the spoiler section. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we get there?
I'm just going to say, if anyone else wants to watch Before We Go, which I recommend, it's on Stan.
Okay. Cool. And Detroit Rock City is in my DVD shelf, but you can rent it on Amazon or, I don't know. Look, just you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
you're smart people.
The normal places for rentals.
And 7 is everywhere. It is a ubiquitous movie that is streaming everywhere. So, yep, easy. Mind you, everyone's seen it anyway. So there you go. Cool.
Shouldn't assume.
Everyone's seen it. You know it.
It's a movie from the 90s.
Anyway.
Some people don't watch 90s movies anymore.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be listening to our podcast. They're officially banned. I've blacklisted all of them. No, I haven't.
I was just thinking that there's like adults alive now who have never known a time without streaming and mobile phones.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And I'm just like, it's just weird.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's. I mean, I'm raising 2 kids in a world with where screens are predominant and everything. It's like, yeah, it really blows
I remember
my mind.
being shocked when my niece was a kid and at kindergarten they did colouring on computers.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
And that just made me really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But anyway. Well, in that case, shall we say goodbye to everybody who doesn't want spoilers and ditch them?
Yeah.
All right. Later, people. No, thank you, everybody, for sticking around and listening to all of this. And, for those who don't mind a spoiler or 2, we will see you on the other side. Bye for now. All right. Alrighty, here we go. We have just transported ourselves from one pod to the other, from the main movie talk to the spoiler stuff. So, yeah, let's get into The Fly. So, what did you want to mention as far as this film goes?
One thing I found different. The guy, I think, was it John Getz,
Yep.
the other guy. I found his character really interesting because he was like the asshole ex, but then he kind of helped in the end and
Yeah.
got like viciously hurt in doing so. And so I found that really interesting that that was, the journey his character took in the movie.
But it was kind of similar to Seth Brundle in a way because, yeah, like I was saying before, he is the good guy and then he sort of turns into the bad guy, whereas the bad guy turns into the good guy. So, yeah, I thought that was so fascinating. I was curious as to why there was a The Fly 2, but then, of course, I remembered that there's the whole thing about how... oh my god, I've gone blank on Gina Davis's character's name. It is Veronica. Veronica falls pregnant to Seth, and there's that whole thing of like how she wants it out of her and stuff. But I believe The Fly 2 centers around the son character, who is played by Eric Stoltz. So yeah.
That makes me a little bit more interested.
And John Getz is actually back in the second one. And the female lead, I never know how to pronounce her name. Daphne Zuniga.
Zuniga?
I don't know. I just always feel really bad about saying her name. It's like, this movie's got Daphne Zuniga.
Well, yeah, if you say it like that.
Well, that's her name, Daphne Zuniga. Daphne.
Let's move on. But that's an interesting cast that actually gets me interested in potentially watching that one day.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it's not that great, but
I mean, is it? It's hard to tell with sequels sometimes because sometimes people are just comparing to the first one. I mean, lots of people hated The Exorcist 3, and that's
that is
very
true.
good. I like it just as much, if not maybe slightly more, although a little biased because Brad Dourif's performance kind of overshadows the rest of the film. So it's hard for me to rate it as a whole. But it's definitely on point with the first one. But that doesn't happen often in franchises.
That is true. But yeah, I would be curious to give it a look at some point.
When did that come out?
Oh, The Fly 2 came out in 1989, so only 3 years after. But yeah, I don't know. It's obviously not the sort of movie that is, high up on my list of things that I need to see.
No, and it's not streaming anywhere, and it's not one that I'm gonna make an effort to track down.
If only we had a video store that we could just walk in and rent it somewhere, right? Yeah, that's right. That's another thing that I'm really sad that my children aren't going to know about. But
but at least they have like Dad's video store.
well, Mum and Dad's video store.
You're combined
two of ours
now.
Combined. Oh my god, yeah, we pretty much do have an entire shop. I don't. I thought also the very end of The Fly, where Seth is like basically getting Veronica, grabbing the shotgun and getting it,
that was
like
sad.
holding it to his head. It was, wasn't it? And that's what I mean.
It's like the redemption for him becoming a jerk. That he's still in there and he still knows. So he wants the help for it to be over.
It was really fascinating stuff. So
especially how creepy that was that he fused with the pod thing.
Oh that was, that looked painful, didn't it? It just that was absolutely awful. I loved the ending. I just really loved so much about that film. Yeah, so
But I'm glad that John Getz is in the next one and
yeah,
like survived his horrific
I guess
injuries.
he'll be limping and not shaking people's hands with his left. I think it was his left that got dissolved.
I don't
Yeah, but
remember.
anyway, I can't remember either. All right, did you have any spoilers about Phantoms? Now's your chance to get it out there into the world.
Not really. I think the I it's an idea that's a big idea, so it's kind of hard to do well, especially with 90s
Mm,
things. But I don't know, I found like when the um entity, whatever you call it,
mm,
was in the like guy in the suit and then in the dog, and like
mm.
the guy is just staring, and then the dog was, that whole scene where Ben Affleck walks from one thing to another and the
Yeah,
dog's just there. I don't know. I love that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty.
The
It's pretty
dog
creepy.
was
It's pretty
definitely
funny because
cool.
it's a dog, but
Yeah, yeah.
just
Um,
the way it's sitting there, I
yeah.
like it.
I didn't really have any
Oh,
spoilers for
the
Phantoms.
the one sort of big flaw I found that I just really noticed this time. I forgot to say earlier too, like Lee Schreiber is so wonderfully creepy as hell in
Oh
this. Like
yeah.
he is such a sleazy, awful
Mm,
guy. But the he dies and sort of gets possessed, but he is still himself and he's still
mm,
speaking and being a creepy guy like he was normally,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of weird because everyone else, when they got taken over, just would open their mouths and the sound
Yeah.
would come out. So I'm like, how come Liv Schreiber's still talking? And then the stupid scene at the end that they have to put in movies in
Yeah,
case a sequel gets
that
made.
was such a '90s thing to do. I got to admit, it was actually cracking me up the way that I know it was unintentionally funny, but the way that the monsters or phantoms or whatever would just open their mouths and voices would come out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I found that so hilariously
Although
funny.
also the it is creepy and it's done in a few things, but it is
Mm,
actually pretty creepy down a plug hole. So I thought
yeah.
that was kind of having the creepy sounds down the plug hole and having people lean forward. It's kind
Oh
of,
yeah, yeah.
you
That,
know,
but seeing people just with their mouths agape and voices and
yeah.
sounds coming out of just, I don't know. It was just one of those things that it shouldn't have been funny, but I just found it that way.
Well,
And
no, but I
yeah,
mean, that's this movie. There's a lot of things that are funny in this, and that's
mm,
the fun of it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not it's not like serious horror movie. I don't know if it was trying to be or
mm,
not, but it's not, and that's good.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
I know.
Um,
Did you find
mm,
Ben Affleck miscast? Because I saw a
mm,
lot of reviews where people were like, "He's not old enough to be a sheriff."
I I'm a little biased. Look, I really dig Ben Affleck. I know there's a lot of people who hate him and stuff. But yeah, I really like the guy, and
Mm.
mainly because he's just done so many terrific roles. So I'm kind of partial towards him. But was he miscast? I don't
Because
think
I
so.
didn't really think about his. I mean, in a small town,
Hmm.
you know, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought you'd have to be really old to be sheriff.
No, no, I didn't think he was miscast. I thought that casting was fine. I
Hmm.
thought having my good friend Rose McGowan in it was also quite great.
Ah,
I
and
call her that
you
because
would
I
have
got her
seen
autograph
why
once.
I. You'll
Yeah.
see why I didn't remember Nicky Cat was in it because he
Oh, she's great.
he he could have not been in it and it wouldn't have made any difference
Yeah,
to
I
the
know. He's
film.
like blink and you'll miss him kind of
I
a
was
thing.
like,
But,
he has a moustache. I don't know
mm,
if he has cool hair because he's got a hat on all the time. He does
yeah.
absolutely nothing. And
Yeah.
it's weird because this movie was like not that long after Suburbia and it's
Mm,
like completely different. Like he
yeah,
stands
yeah.
out so much in Suburbia, but
Mm.
yeah, in this movie he's completely pointless.
Oh yeah. Oh, like if anyone's listening, if you're hearing a lot of meowing in the background, my cat is just like vying for attention right now, and I'm giving her hardcore cuddles, and she's just enjoying every minute of it. So yeah, I'm multitasking at the moment. Um, so Stardust. I really dug the. I know it's kind of it's a bit cliched and stuff, but the whole thing of how it turns out that Tristan, his bloodline, he was actually the rightful heir to the throne.
I
and
did
stuff.
not see that coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like sister. I was like, oh wow.
I thought that was so cool. Yeah, and it was very clever the way that they concealed her identity throughout the thing by turning her into a bird. But yeah, I thought that just added to the charm of the ending, and the fact that Elaine stayed with him and stuff. Yeah, well, for the duration of their rule and everything, and even yeah, the very end where it's revealed that the two of them became stars in the sky, and stuff. I just thought was so wonderful. Yeah. So no, I thought that it was a perfect fairy tale ending to a
But
film
when
like that.
his dad was sitting there with his mum at the wedding thing or coronation, whatever, I was like, oh, they're back together again. But how come he never tried to find her
Yeah.
in all these
Yeah.
years?
Well, maybe he just gave up. I don't know. I mean, she was a bird, so what are you going to do? I did think, though, that when Michelle Pfeiffer's character, when she's like, got them captive and everything, and she's about to steal the heart, and that, but then she's just like, oh, look, fine, my sisters are dead now, like, I've got nothing left, just go. I was of two minds at that point. I was kind of like, on one hand, that is actually kind of cool, because like, how many times do you see that in a movie where a villain's just
I watched
like,
that and I was like, wow, are they going to do something really different? And
yeah,
have her like actually let them go
Yeah.
and be like, what's the point now? I just give up.
so I thought, oh, that's cool. But then, of course, it's revealed that no, no.
She's just playing with them.
But then, even though that was, I guess, a little cliched, but it sort of made it a little unique in the fact that she did do that double cross sort of thing. So I thought the way that scene played out was
it's like
so
I was
good.
disappointed they didn't do something different, but then it was such a cool thing anyway that I got over it in a second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had the exact same feeling with
I
that
love
one.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, she's so great in that.
Always so good turning up in films.
I was actually, I was almost going to pick Scarface as a film, but I think you've seen it, have you, with Al Pacino?
No, I've only seen the original one.
Oh, okay, right. Maybe that's why I was going to pick it as one of your three choices, because she's in that, and I think it was like one of her very first roles, but she was really great in that. But
I was almost going to pick a rom-com with her in it, but
oh, okay, right.
yeah, well, even though I've given you a romance film, I am scared to recommend rom-coms to you.
No,
especially
don't
ones
be.
that I seem to like more than most people, because that makes it less likely.
Hey,
So, but maybe in one of the future options, there
fair
will be
enough.
that.
All right. Well, I don't know about you, but that is all the spoilers I've got for everything.
Yeah, same.
Cool.
Done.
All right. Well, I've got nappies to change and bottles of formula to make and all that fun stuff, and sleep
Yeah,
to not
and
have. Oh,
I've got
no!
sleep
Wait a
to
minute.
have.
There is one last thing of Stardust. Robert De Niro, Captain
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare. Whoops, nearly forgot. So, yeah, of course, his character is introduced as this big, tough pirate whose name is Feared, and, there's a thing where it looks like he's cast Tristan out of his flying ship, and, he's like this major badass and everything, and then it turns out that he is the gayest character that I've seen in a long time, to the point where he's like a complete cross-dresser, and yeah, and I not so much that, but I love the big reveal that the crew actually knew all along. Like
Yeah, what
when
did
he
that
gets
guy
busted.
say? We always knew you were
A
what did he
whoopsie.
call him? Whoopsie, yeah.
Yeah,
And then they just push him to the back after he
Oh
says that.
man, I loved that moment. That was and especially the way that De Niro's sitting there, with his corset or whatever, with the shoulder down, and then he just very toughly sort of pulls it up. I was like, I thought that was so great.
And the guy that was like the second in command guy that was sort of helping him out and like rolling his eyes at certain things and whatever. I'm like, it's so good with like just a small part that you don't really do anything, but just those little things memorable. That he was doing.
Yeah. So I love that you knew that he knew all along, but then when it's revealed that the entire crew knew, it's like, wow, man, that is so cool. I thought his performance in that was just incredible. Such a great character. So brave of him to play that after, so many tough guy roles. So yeah, that was another thing that really made the film for me. So yeah. Cool. All right, now we are officially out of spoilers. So yes, on that note, thank you everybody for sticking around. I wonder how many people actually do stick around in the spoiler section. I don't know. If anyone actually bothered to get in touch with us on social media or email, they could tell us, but no one seems to do that. So, I'm just not even going to try. But anyway, thank you everybody for sticking around, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time to discuss Seven and Before We Go in Detroit Rock City. So until then, stay safe, watch lots of movies, and we will catch you then.